and welcome to Infamous, the audio podcast. This is Brandon, or Mutilus on the forum.
This is Parker. Go by Dr. Mantis Toboggan, MD on forums.
This is Jeremy. It's like hashtag retired from gaming. Parker knocked me out of gaming this weekend.
Knocked me out of gaming.
I'm done. I've retired. I retired.
That was it.
All right. Jeremy's done. Parker is on top now. Mm-hmm. Finally, after Parker, you're 43, right?
I'm 75 years old.
43 years of gaming. just move right over that. After 43 years of gaming, Parker has decided he's finally going to
43 years of gaming. I am, in fact, a 60-year-old man.
But I do have some announcements today that are very important. First of all, we are liars. You cannot find any of us on the rules forum because we're boycotting that shit.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Down with the rules forum. We're going to burn it to the ground.
With our absence?
Yeah, that one. We refuse to take place in their thought crime activity.
Yeah.
Again.
Anymore. No more. So moving on, Parker has 937 more probationary episodes.
That's a good amount.
That's a solid amount. That's more than I've been able to accrue with my 0. So that tells you what kind of person Parker is mainly.
Mm-hmm. A champion.
Parker, you owe Jeremy 11 pizza rolls.
Still.
I would like to point out that we have stopped carrying pizza rolls at the Geekery, so you better pay this up quick, or it's going to become a problem.
It's going to be trouble.
Wait, why is it quick? Because you just said we stopped carrying them at the Geekery.
Yeah, we didn't throw the ones we have away. We just stopped buying them.
Oh, I was under the impression, and I've been fully willing to, at any moment, drop whatever I'm doing and find pizza rolls. I don't care where they are.
Where they are?
Yeah.
What if they're in Alaska?
Get me signed up for a trip. It takes a little bit, but I'll get there.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, how much can a round trip ticket to Alaska possibly cost?
It doesn't matter what the cost is. What matters is what it sounds like.
Jeremy, can you do me a favor? Can you look up how much a round trip ticket to Alaska costs?
Let me see here. About $1,400.
Nice.
Let's be realistic. Alaska is not the closest place. I bet I can find it in at least Seattle. I don't think
they just taste different though. I don't.
Jeremy, I think you need to look up
the latitude.
The rarest kind of pizza rolls. It's like 3 meat and cheese, or combo supreme with anchovies or something. And I need those.
The 2008 pizza roll is sublime. That's only.
I need the one with the 5 rings of the Olympics on the box. Those are the
best. The Atlanta Olympics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Specifically the Atlanta brand. They had a special kind of cheese. They added Gouda to the recipe.
Gouda
for the first time.
And they
only did it for the Olympics. God. All right. So anyone who hasn't tuned in before, basically Parker does things like not show up to the podcast or fall asleep at his keyboard, and these are ways he earns these demerits. He works them off by showing up to podcasts and not sleeping, and so he's got 937 more to work off. This is episode 81, I think, so he's got a ways to go. Moving on, Parker is not allowed to say the following words: pineapple, blade, antiquing, or asterisk, or he gains another probationary episode. Parker, do you have anything you would like to tell us?
We got news. So, our news is more just about grunts. Grunts coming out here pretty soon. As of this podcast, we've got 25 hours or something like that before we got some grunts in our hands. And
that's a pretty good. That's 25 hours and 23 minutes.
Yeah. So I want you to know there's some things you can do with grunts and some things you can't do with grunts, and there have been some questions, and people have been trying to fill in the blanks. As we expected, grunts are going to be one of those things that will, every single time you put them down, your opponent's going to eye roll a little bit and go, ugh, here we go. When are we going to find out grunts break this game? But one of the things...
My personal dread is that you're like, let's go to the rules forum and find out how they work. I'm like, oh my God.
That's it. You win. You just get
Yeah, it's like,
you win.
whatever, I concede, let's just get out of this. I don't want to fucking look it up and find out that they have all of Dr. Voodoo's special rules
Yeah.
on the rules forum. Like,
Did you know
I
that
don't want to
grunts?
do this again.
Brandon, did you know that grunts are tokens, but also not tokens, unless their controlling character has been KO'd and staggered, they are no longer tokens. Then they are just grunts.
Did we talk about the Doc Voodoo ruling last time?
No, but we don't have to anymore. I think we've done it 3 times on this podcast. I'm pretty sure.
Have we? No,
Yeah.
the new one that hasn't been ruled on yet.
Oh god.
I don't
Somebody
know
asked
that we
another-
actually
Somebody
talked
asked
about
another
it.
question. No, this is new. This is news.
Okay,
This
we'll
counts.
talk about that in a minute.
Oh, we're in
We'll
news.
talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, no, but let's do the grunt stuff
Okay.
first.
So first thing about
for real
grunts.
though.
Oh.
Yeah, for real though. I was gonna do one. I was gonna have Jeremy do the other one. So
Yeah.
the one I wanted to talk about is that has been confirmed, and it's definitely the way it intuitively should work, and the way that it actually does work. Passing when your opponent has grunts. If your opponent has a parent character and a grunt character left in play, you can pass if you only have one character left to activate, and then they are forced to activate both of them at the same time, which would mean that you activate last. It's very similar to the same interaction that happens if your opponent has like Proxima and Corvus left, and you have any single model. You can pass, they can then activate both of them in the same turn, as long as they meet the restrictions of their ability and pay for it. And then you can activate last, which would actually result in priority possibly moving, because you were able to pass in a situation that caused you to activate last. So that's a very unique situation, and most of the time, your opponent would not use the double activation in that situation. As where with the parent characters and the grunts, they're forced to. And so if your opponent chooses to wait for their parent character and grunt to activate last, you can get to this weird situation where you're able to pass and go last, which can force them to pass priority to you, which is really interesting, and I think possibly powerful. The problem is, I think a lot of people are going to go with their grunt characters very early in the turn, because they want to get the double model activation early, as opposed to late. But it's something to keep your eye on. What do you guys think?
I think it's if for some reason you thought that this was some sort of great like benefit to having a grunt character, I think it's the same kind of thing as when you saw Crossbones and Sin, or like you said, Corvus and Proxima. The only difference, if there is one, is that Corvus and Proxima cost usually 8 points, and Sin and Crossbones cost 6. So for 4 points right now, your opponent's able to get that double activation. So I'm not saying that it's. So what
I actually think it's the opposite. I think it's really bad for the grunt character.
That they have to activate before, or
it's because if you have other more important things to do due to situation in the game, and you're forced to activate your grunt and parent character later in the turn, and they end up going last, it's really bad because you can't choose to not do it. And so it can end up costing you priority if you activate them last. Where that's not true with like the Sin and Crossbones, Proxima and Corvus combos, because you can just choose not to activate them on the same turn.
Right.
Same thing with Follow Me.
Yeah.
You could just choose to not do it, as where you don't have the option with the new grunt models.
Well, but
you must do it. So it's all the decision making is up to your opponent at that point, which is generally bad.
Well, sort of, except that when you talk about the number of models you have on the board, is that the grunt, and since the grunt character and the parent character right now cost 4 points, you probably have just a 6-man roster instead of 5-man roster, right? Or a 5-man instead of a 4-man. Most of the time, you're just going to be functionally just adding a character to your pool, but you're not adding an activation, even though technically they do need to activate, and so you have to care about that for passing.
Right.
You are functionally not adding an activation. So
it only matters if the grunt character and parent character activate as your last activation of the turn.
Right.
That's the only time it matters.
Yeah.
And it also only matters if your opponent passes as their last activation,
right.
potentially.
I think that and to your point of, because grunts are generally pretty flimsy and they're a way to get some, cheap power and things like that. Maybe if you have the ability to throw an attack their way, you can plan on probably getting to, power out of their health or whatever. So since you probably want to get your double activation out of them most of the time, you don't want to have to, lose. You don't want to potentially lose that. Then maybe you are trying to activate them early. But I also see a point, for example, like Fury, he doesn't mind when his character dies. If he's behind, then you get victory points out of their death early in the game, and then you bring back later to do things like take objectives and stuff like that. So I don't think it's I don't think it's like always bad to activate grunt characters last. I think it's probably not true, especially with Fury. I think Fury's going to find, because his whole thing is he's going to be dynamic all the time. Like he's always playing with the victory point game, trying to be dynamic with his leadership. And so I think it won't always be bad to activate him later. But what it will do, and I think what will happen, is I think it'll get some gotchas. I think some people will look at two characters left and go, "Oh, I can pass," and then all of a sudden they go, "Oh crap, it's a grunt character." So it might be up to fair play, and you can as a personal player decide.
I think it's a huge opportunity, because if you do pass in that situation, you guarantee you have priority in the following turn, and you get the last activation. That's huge. Wait, no.
No, you don't.
You don't get
the
both.
last. No,
you don't. You would potentially lose priority.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry, I had it backwards.
Yeah, the idea is
I'm very tired.
Right. The idea is you lose priority. You say I pass, and then your opponent goes, "Cool, I activate both of them. Your turn." And you're like, "Ah, crap." So unless,
but activating last is still potentially very powerful.
Right. I'm not saying that there's never a situation in which you would pass, but since priority's usually in this game such a big tactical advantage, I think most of the time it's going to feel like a gotcha. Me personally, if someone ever says, "Oh, you have two characters left," I'll pass. Even in a tournament, I'd say, these two characters are Nick Fury and Shield agents. They'll activate together.
I don't think that's going to happen very often. That'd be exceedingly rare. I think that when you choose to pass in that situation, it's because you want to activate later in the turn.
Yeah.
And you're getting your wish. You're activating last.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think it's actually still a benefit most of the time.
So the key here that makes it different than any of the other situations is the fact that they have their card that allows them to move, and then leap across the entire board. So whether it's first turn or fourth turn, they're able to create a situation of like, oh my God, how do I deal with that? Well, you deal with it because you passed and you were ready for it, and then you put the model that you were waiting for them to do their bullshit to deal with it. Whether it's, Enchantress, because she can battle people, or whatever you decide to do, but it gives you an option. Whereas before, they could go wide on your ass and then go last and then teleport basically across the board with that one card that he places himself next to another model.
Reposition.
Yeah, reposition. And you couldn't do anything about it. So this gives you actually some ground. It gives you some game against it. That's the idea, I think. That's why people are excited to know it exists.
So do you think that there's any chance that this card gets errated?
Which card?
Reposition. The one that places Nick within range 1 of the shield agents. Because all the other cards that have verbiage like this say if you're not holding an objective token. Do you think the shield cards are just meant to be stronger than other cards?
I mean, their models aren't very strong, right? So, I mean, they got to have something. And I mean, I think movement and shenanigans.
I don't know that I would argue their models aren't strong.
Well, they do have
Hawkeye, She-Hulk, Nick Fury,
True.
Black Widow. All of these models are very good.
Iron Man.
That's true.
Yeah, they have 5 A-list characters.
Winter Soldier
least.
and Winter Soldier is an A-. So.
Yeah, Winter Soldier, exactly. Like,
True.
all of these characters are good. Their only bad character is what? Like, can you even think of one?
I think like the weakest ones are probably Hawkeye and Agent Widow, and they're not bad. They're probably the weak. Taskmaster.
Agent Widow.
Taskmaster's probably the most lackluster, but
yeah, Taskmaster's probably the worst model in their entire affiliation.
That's true.
It is curious though. He actually is one of the characters in the game that loves to get aggressive on him because he loves to get in closer.
Getting into range 2 is big for him.
Yeah. So aggressive on him is actually, he's one of the best. I went through every model in the game 2 nights ago, like who would like to have aggressive who doesn't have aggressive, and he was actually on the short list for that.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I think this is pretty important, but I think it's bad for the shield player. I think it's more often going to benefit your opponent, especially when all of the decision making is up to your opponent. So I think it almost forces you to activate them earlier in the turn, because your opponent getting to decide who activates last is never good.
Mm-hmm. Well,
especially when one of the models you're activating on that turn can't contest objectives.
Yeah, I honestly think most of the time, I think it will just I think most of the time it'll be a wash. Excuse, oh my gosh. I think most of the time it'll be a wash, or, like you said, it'll be something that, the shield player. I would think we're almost always thinking shield here, because I feel like Daredevil's always just kind of like, he doesn't care about having the last activation or not. He's not doing any shenanigans. I think he's just hurting people with ninjas or not. So since we're talking mostly about shield when we think about this, because of all the weird stuff they can do with scenario, I think it's the shield character either really, really, really wanted Nick to go last for some reason because there was some great advantage on the board for it, or like you said, it's just, your opponent gets to look and go, oh, you have 2 characters left, but I'm still going to keep priority. So
yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about the other thing available for, or the other thing we're clarifying for grunts. Jeremy, do you want to cover this one?
The criminal thing?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I was talking
yeah,
about.
so it was ruled that the grunts do not get the bonus for the criminal leadership, which is important in only a couple ways.
It's actually not important for several reasons.
Yeah. So go ahead. You got it.
Okay. So first of all, the grunt is not a criminal model. Secondly, the grunts don't contest, and so they count as 2 characters while contesting, but they don't contest. If future grunts come out, it is possible they would gain the leadership under the current rulings, as far as we understand it. But so far, both of the grunts say cannot contest objectives.
Mm-hmm.
And so because they cannot contest, they don't. And so they count as 2 model when they don't contest. And so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think it's a weird clarification that it's weird that they didn't print it on the grunt rules, but they're just going to print it on every grunt card, unless they're planning on never doing it. Like eventually, maybe there's a grunt that can contest, but they purposely don't want him to be a criminal.
I think they plan on making it a future-proof rule that they could change it up. Mm-hmm. And so they're just going to put that block of text on every grunt until they decide they want one to contest. Mm-hmm. But we'll see. Who knows what grunts have in store for the future?
Hopefully nothing.
I would see they might actually allow that to happen if you had a really expensive model with a grunt. Like, you're like, yeah, this guy can do an extra secure, but you're paying 7 points for him, something like that.
Yeah, I think currently the tentative question is, will Doombots contest? I think that's the tentative question.
Yeah, like, I'm not gonna lie, run my nose here, that's exactly what I thought. I was like, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, I don't know that I need a Doombot to contest, but if it's like Doom's an 8-point model and has a Doombot every turn, I don't know that it's not okay that he contests, so it'd probably be fine. Mm-hmm. If you're paying 8 points for 2 contesting models, that seems okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, well, that's pretty much it for news, right? Do we have anything else?
I think we're about to approach a time where every model has been released and we've seen everything. What the fuck? We're looking into
basically
the abyss.
What you're saying is it's too late. I've already seen everything.
Yeah, we're getting ready to peer into the abyss. I've seen everything. It's over.
I've seen it. They try and cover up, but I've seen everything. Oh boy. So let's move into currently playing. I've been still trying out my Web Warriors list. I have discovered I need to change my missions up because my biggest weakness is criminals. And so I think as long as I don't play missions that criminals want to play, I'm okay. But that's kind of continuing along my logic that I think everyone should be playing pay to flips because it's the only way to keep criminals in check. But that's my personal opinion.
Man, you are just terrified of criminals right now.
I just think they're the best affiliation because unlike every other affiliation, there's obviously, right? I'm not crazy right here. Obviously, criminals have the best leadership ability. It's not even close.
Sure.
Yeah, criminals have the best leadership ability. Now, I think they're semi-reined in by the characters that they put in that affiliation, but it's getting to the point where there's so many characters in the game, it really doesn't matter. Like, as soon as Bullseye went down to 2 points and Black Cat got released, it doesn't matter. Criminals are fine. They only need 3 affiliated characters that aren't dog shit, and they're good. And that was really what they were missing before. Bullseye was dog shit, and Black Cat wasn't out. Those 2 things changed, and now they're a problem. That's my...
We had called that before criminals even were released.
Exactly. Yeah, we knew this the whole time. As soon as they get good characters, they'll be broken as fuck. But the problem is, like, what do you do when you can't roll dice to change anything? Like, on the first turn, you just start down, like, 3 points. There's nothing you can do about it. And then the game ends on turn 3 unless you get, like, perfect scenario matchups. And so, yeah, criminals lose games. I'm not saying they're unbeatable.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that if you play a normal mission against criminals, you lose.
Mm-hmm.
They have a huge advantage. And you could dice them out, but you have to get exceptionally lucky in my experience.
Mm-hmm.
If you play a non-flip secure and a quantity-based extract mission, the game's going to end on turn 3, maybe on turn 4 if you're lucky. But on turn 4, they're going to be up like 6, so it doesn't matter. They just need to survive the turn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
have you have you had to
just
play criminals on Sinister, Sadness, Sickening Suckers?
That.
Fuck
that
one.
mission.
That one is a mistake. I mean,
yeah. So if you're running, let's say, even Montesi, let's call it Montesi. If the criminal player wins priority, chooses blue, gets Sinister Syndicate, and you choose Montesi, one of the lowest scoring extracts. They're taking the middle point with Kingpin. Then they're going to go take a back point and contest with like Toad or whoever is their random back point contester. You're going to go contest your 2 close ones. You're probably going to have 5 models. Even if you dump 4 of them on 1 point, they're scoring 6 on turn 1. How do you come back from that? You're scoring 6-2 on turn 1. They're +4. The game's over. You would have to daze 4 of their 6 characters on turn 2 to even make a difference. And even then, it probably still doesn't matter. As long as it's not their 2 people with extract tokens.
There's one nice thing about criminals, I think. One thing that definitely reins them in. And one of the reasons why you're going to see them be insanely consistent on the things they are good at. But I don't know if we'll ever see them like spike really hard at things like tournament settings. And it's because there are some missions that they just can't or don't interact with. And,
they don't interact well with.
Right.
Yeah.
And it is difficult to dual list them. It's not impossible, but it's difficult because it
is restricted. Right. I agree that it is restrictive. But I think that's why I'm saying is that you have to play flip secures. You cannot play normal contest secures. You just lose to criminals. And if everyone's playing normal secures, everyone loses. So everyone needs to play flips. And if we play flips, criminals go away. Because if everyone's doing it, criminals are just coin flipping games. Mm-hmm. So they're not going to win anything. But they're still
they just
it's
play
like
Black
playing
Order.
tricks in War Machine. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like you're just going to lose the games that you absolutely can't lose, and that's not okay. But yeah, so I think everyone has to play the flip secures except for criminals, and we do that to keep criminals out of the meta. But if everyone's not doing it, it doesn't work, and they still win.
I think the problem, the whole problem with the whole deal, and we talked about this earlier, is you splash in 3 models of Black Order, and then you have a criminal Black Order list. So
I don't know that Black Order auto wins the flips, though. They can do really good on flips, but I don't think they're auto winning it.
I think Thanos does.
You think so?
I think so.
Because like moving people off points doesn't win it. It just lets him roll on it.
Mm-hmm. So you have to play as your opponent has to look at that and say, do I play my criminal cards or my Black Order, anti-Black Order cards? Because if you don't bring anti-Black Order tech, you're fucked. Like,
what's your anti-Black Order tech?
Sacrifice, the one where you pull a model away.
Mission
Escort to
objective.
safety?
Yeah. Any of the ones
She's just playing anti-Corvus and hoping that Thanos can't win the game on his own.
True, yes. Because, Corvus has to kill a couple models.
Okay, yeah. I got you.
And that tech doesn't mean shit against the other lists. Like, it just doesn't matter. Like, it's totally dumb. But it's bad. Anyway, we could go back and forth, but I don't think it's cool that you have such a hard... one list plays an incredibly good one way, and then the other list is a splash that doesn't even matter, that plays incredibly good the other way.
I would actually... so this is what I want to talk about, though. My impression of Black Order is that they're better on the normal contest secures, not on the roll dice secures. That's always been my impression of Black Order. Am I wrong? Because I stopped playing Black Order because they were overpowered.
I think you're wrong in that everybody has the same game in those flips. Everybody. I mean, it doesn't matter as long as you're not rolling 2 dice. Those characters have a rough time. But
Sure, no, but
you know,
I think who wins the secures in that situation is the person that has power generation, board control, and quantity. That's the 3 things you need for the flip missions. And Black Order has the board control and the power generation, but they don't have the quantity. So you can just walk up to the point after Thanos or Corvus has taken it and just like, I rolled 2 hits, get fucked. Like, what do you do? Like, that's always been my impression of Black Order on that. But I'm not experienced in it. I'm not claiming to be, so I could be very wrong.
I think
That's just been my impression.
Thanos always goes next to last regardless of outcome.
Sure. So Thanos is going next to last, but like him cosmic portaling people off of points doesn't remove the points. It just means that I'm not contesting.
That's the thing about.
He still has to roll on them.
That's the thing I don't. Yeah, that's the thing I don't like about. I don't like Thanos on those kind of points because the thing he loves to do is, all right, I'm gonna, like you said, second to last move. I'm gonna move 2 people off of 2 different points, but it doesn't matter because they already rolled. Like,
because even if he's just clearing off 2 points and checking them both, that's all he does, which is low for Thanos' normal turns. He's spending 2 power on a cosmic portal, he's using the Mind Stone, and he's spending 2 of his own power to interact. That's 4 power on Thanos, not to mention the actions required to move between those 2 points himself.
Which he only has 2 now.
At least 1 move action and his Space Stone, probably.
Yeah.
So he's probably using both stones and 4 power and 1 action minimum to flip 2 points. As where old Thanos would just be like, I move people off 3 points, get fucked, I spent 0 actions. Like, it's just so much weaker compared to the Thanos we're used to that I thought it would be debilitating enough to give you the edge, and with a quantity-based faction.
I just think that one of these points has a Corvus on it, and nobody's coming near it. And if they do, they've only got that point for a turn. Like, then they're gone. So, like, it's a hard check. I'm not saying Black Order's unbeatable or anything. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm just saying they are as good as anyone else.
Yeah. Black Order isn't like the winner of the flip scenario, is all I'm saying.
True.
Obviously, there's still a problem, and you have to play a great game to beat them.
Criminals just aren't any good at it. Yeah. So it's
Criminals
good.
aren't specifically good at it. But the people that are good at it are the worst affiliation in the game outside of Inhumans, which is Asgard. Asgard is the best at the flip mission. And I think X-Men is maybe second best, but that's mainly just because of the first turn.
Yeah, they're pretty good at it. What were we talking about, by the way? I kind of got lost on that one.
This was currently playing. No, I thought this was good discussion.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I said don't play non-flip secures, and you said Brandon hates criminals, and I said this is a fact, and also they're broken.
I don't think they're broken.
No, but
I don't.
I think they're broken.
I don't think they're broken.
Any affiliation that makes every other affiliation not play an entire type of mission is broken. Who beats criminals on non-flip secures?
Guardians did this weekend.
They did. I would like to explain to you how that happened, but I don't want to get into it.
Okay. What I'm saying is there's to say that it's not idiot proof. It's not play proof. Mm-hmm. It's like when I think broken, I think of, well, honestly, like Crix.
No, I think
Crix felt play proof, right? Like it was like, unless you forgot your rules and just never used them, there was
a minimum skill to get into Crix. Just like I think the minimum skill for criminals is higher than the minimum skill for Crix.
I would agree. That's my point.
Very idiot proof.
That's what I'm saying. I think criminals is not that. Therefore, I don't think we're going to see criminals running ram shot across every meta. I don't think that's what.
But people aren't. I'm not saying like a random new player with criminals is going to dominate his meta. I'm saying that the meta list that's going to be pretty commonly played soon, I think, is going to be basically what Aaron's playing. I think the list Aaron's playing is the best list in the game. And I don't think there's any contesters. I don't think anyone competes with that list. It's just, do you get bad matchups? Mm. And bad matchups, I mean, like, do you get consecutive people playing the thing that's trying to stop you as best as it can? Mm. And you play coin flips into those matchups. Because if you can force them to play coin flips, they're not going to get to the finals unless they get exceedingly lucky.
Right.
I think criminals only lose on 10%ers on their missions. So I think it's all about people not playing their missions, which is just a learning curve thing. As people learn how strong criminals are on the missions they're good at, people just will go, okay, well, I'll just never play these 5 missions ever again in my pair. And then criminals will go away. That's how we fix it. Now, I don't know if that was intended when the criminals were designed or when the missions were designed.
Also, I think that they're just not any fun. Like,
they're very boring.
What's a fun model
is
in
much like
Criminals?
it's very like Sam Spam, but the game ends so much faster that it doesn't matter.
I mean, Hood's a criminal, right? He's cool.
Yeah, that was definitely a good decision. People who made the game. Why is Hood a criminal? I mean, I get aesthetically why he's a criminal, but like, why the fuck is he a criminal?
Because you needed a 3-pointer that can do everything.
We really needed a 3-point model that can heal people for 3 and has DR2. Get fucked.
All right, so Brandon
we keep
played
getting
some
derailed.
things.
I'm sorry, this is partially my fault. So anyway, my Web Warrior list, I need to make many changes to, but I haven't had time. I've been very busy. We're remodeling the store I manage, so we're adding 1,200 square feet, and I'm installing carpet in 4,600 square feet. There's a lot of stuff going on right now, and also I'm busy in my personal life, so yeah, it's just been very rough. I would really like to take the time to open up my card box and change out my secure missions, but I literally haven't had time to do that. I would really like to, though.
Yeah.
I've really liked what I've been playing. It's hard to switch gears from Brotherhood to Web Warriors. I find myself still getting frustrated when I roll bad, but I have to remember that because I'm playing Web Warriors, my dice rolls are less important than they would have been if I was playing Brotherhood. Because normally when I roll apocalyptically bad, like I had a Miles turn where Miles went in, had 7 power, played all webbed up, web swung in, and did 0 damage with his 2 attacks. And I was like, oh, well, I lose this game, but I'm not playing Brotherhood anymore, so that's actually not true. It's just Miles rolled bad, and he dies for free, and I lose my leadership, but it didn't actually affect the way the game came out, so it was just weird. I gotta just change gears.
Was this round 2?
Yeah, so first turn, Miles contested the middle point and got dazed by MODOK, I want to say. Activated first in round 2, went in on Kingpin, dealt 0 damage with a 8 dice web line kick and then a 6 dice web line kick. Didn't trigger the throw on either of them. I was like, okay, well, I lose this game, but I was up 4 points already, so it didn't matter. And so I was frustrated because I felt like I could have done something differently because I get frustrated. It's not really about the dice. It's that when I make a plan, it's just the way my brain works is I go, what's the most efficient thing I can do? I do that because I'm very instinctual when I play games. And so I go, okay, well, Miles has to go. I have to play this card. I have to do these abilities. And then like the first 8 dice attack landed and didn't do any damage. And so I paid 3 for all webbed up. I played 2 for web swing. So I only had 2 power, so I couldn't Venom Blast. I was like, the whole point of why I went in is like, I'll do an 8 dice attack into Kingpin, get a power, and then I'll Venom Blast Sabretooth and get his objective token. And then I did 0 damage, so I couldn't Venom Blast. I was so frustrated that I failed the attack that I was like, oh no, now my whole turn is ruined because I just assumed I would do 1 damage with 8 dice. And then it just like the whole thing fell apart from there. And so, yeah, I get into this, and then I'm frustrated because I made a plan that assumed I would deal damage with an attack, and I'm mad at myself for doing that, and it's just the whole thing. Like, so yeah, I need to be more lax when I play, because I get mad at myself for making plans that assume normal dice, and I need to stop doing that. I need to make plans that assume, even if the worst thing happens, because that's what I used to do in War Machine, even though the plays I was making were like 90%ers, I would make plans off of that, but like I still had a backup plan if that failed, and I don't do that in Marvel yet. I don't have a backup plan. So when Miles is supposed to go in, I don't have a backup plan if he doesn't deal damage. I need to get into that mode where I'm like, okay, Miles is going to go here, but what happens if he doesn't deal damage? Well, if he doesn't deal damage, I should actually be here instead, and so I should probably go there regardless and then plan on failing. And if I don't fail, bonus, right? Like, that's what my plan should be. But I don't tend to do that at the moment. But But yes, there's a lot of changes I'd like to make with my Web Warrior list, but it's been fun playing them again. I really miss playing Gwen. I really miss playing Venom. So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it right now. So I want to keep doing that. I need to come up with a second roster option within my Web Warriors. I haven't done that yet, but I'll think about it. So I'm going to take a quick break. What are you guys currently playing? Have you changed anything about your list, or is there anything you'd like to change after playing in a tournament over the weekend? Parker, why don't you go first?
So, I'd like to announce that I finally broke my always a bridesmaid, never a bride, and I actually got first place instead of second place. That was pretty cool.
Yay, congratulations.
Thank you. I got it with my final match was a really good player. He was played a really, really strong game. I tabled him.
Go fuck yourself.
My final game was against Jeremy, and it actually was. It looked like a really close game. I actually thought I was really behind for a bit of it, and then in like the last turn and a half, all of a sudden his characters were all dazed and they were all still alive. That's what made me feel kind of like, oh man, how can I win this? Because everybody was still on the board, but everybody was dazed, and so in one turn, all of a sudden they all just started falling down. You couldn't roll a defense dice. And my dice were not like rolling totally lights out, but they were doing like 2 or 3 damage every time. But Jeremy's dice weren't stopped helping him like they were in the early turns. I was playing Guardians, and I think the secret to the success of the tournament was the construction actually that Jeremy was alluding to earlier, which is it's Guardians with one high mobility model. This time I chose to pick T'Challa, and I said one high mobility model. It's always Guardians, Ghost Rider, because I think for me Ghost Rider is strapped to Guardians forever since before they even buffed everybody in Guardians.
Since your first game ever when you played on TTS?
Yeah. So Ghost Rider and Guardians are, but I played another high mobility model, and this time I picked Killmonger. And that's, you said, what would I change? That's actually what I would change. Killmonger never made the board, but there should be a high mobility model in that slot, and I think it's going to be Zemo. I think Zemo would love Guardians, and he would also help to be a really good partner for Ghost Rider, because I think Ghost Rider and Zemo together in the same spot is really mean. And so both just high mobility models being very difficult to manage, and you want to attack Zemo because of his damage output, but doing that he might just counterstrike you, and you take damage from Ghost Rider's things because Ghost Rider's nearby, and if you're rolling crits to try to knock down Zemo, then Ghost Rider's punishing you for it. I think it could be a lot of plink damage when they're already doing big hits because they're gonna have so many rerolls between winging it and Zemo's rerolls. So I think that'd be a really cool combo that I didn't get to use this tournament. Instead, I used Drax in the 3-point slot in 2 of my games, and he did not actually do nothing. He in every other time I've ever played him, he was just a doorstop that sat there and did nothing. But he actually was able to accomplish a few things. But he's very non-dynamic, and there's so many great sedentary characters in Guardians. I don't think I need one more sedentary character that's not super great.
I think part of Drax's allure for me is that because his stats are so great once he's taken damage, is that he has like that deterrent, right? The deterrent factor of, well, if I attack Drax and fail to daze him, I'm punished heavily. And so I think that's part of the reason he has an allure for me. It's because most people don't bother attacking him.
Yes.
Because they're like, oh, we're both contesting this point. That's fine. I'll just, double shake. I won't attack you. Because if I attack you and fail, you're going to hit me harder than I hit you. And so it's like, yeah, we'll just sit here. It's like, well, that's fine. I'll just stab you for free.
Right.
Like, that's fine with me.
And
so I really like Drax for that reason. But yeah, he's very non-proactive.
Yes. And he doesn't, with zero ability to attack from farther away, almost any movement effect in the game just completely nullifies him. So
yeah, he's really weak to control. That's definitely a downside.
And that's one of the things about it, is if he was if he was one of these characters you didn't want to attack and he felt strong against control, he'd feel really good. I.e., like Sabretooth is a great example of somebody who feels good against
Sabretooth is
control.
3 points, but yeah.
Yeah, he isn't 3 points. But for one more point, you're getting somebody who feels like a rock in a hard place, where Drax just feels like a rock. So,
Yeah.
so
There's not a lot of 3-point characters that have counter control. That's
No.
kind of a design point.
right. So I think I'm going to put Zemo in there. That's one of my changes. One thing that I'm never going to change again, I did that I really loved was Power Stone
Star-Lord.
Star-Lord. I thought I was really debating the whole time. I was like, do I do this? You know, it's 3 points for Star-Lord seems like such a great value. Do I really do this? But what I did to my roster construction was I picked a lot of D blue scenarios, and he loves D's so much that what ended up happening, he became the star of the whole tournament, definitely the MVP, because as long as I was playing him in scenarios, or picking rather him, or picking Guardians in general for the scenarios where I knew that he could stay safe most of the time and still contribute to the game, his constant hit and runs and elemental guns. He ended one game with 2 hammers, and he just couldn't be killed. They were like, I could try to kill Star-Lord, but I guess I can't because he's just moving away and doing way too much damage while he's falling back. That my opponent never felt like he could commit to Star-Lord, because Star-Lord was actually going to just do whatever he wanted because he had 3 power a turn. I also was playing Follow Me, and he got to use it, but other characters could also use it. I think 2 games other characters used it, but he used it in one game when my opponent was not obliging me with a ton of power, and I didn't roll really hot early in the game, but I was like, here, Star-Lord has 6 anyway, so here we go. So Star-Lord felt great. I'm going to consider the card Jeremy told me about, because Star-Lord is unique in that he can have 3 power on first turn, and so he can do so many interesting things with Worthy hammers. I was playing Worthy because I have Ghost Rider and Star-Lord. They both like hammers, and I loved it actually. The one turn game I got to play it, but I also have Thanos in my list. Thanos, Corvus, and Proxima, which are big boogeymen. And I think that was actually the way I got first place. If there was one thing I was going to pin down, I like all the parts of my list right now, but except for Killmonger and Drax. But the thing that I think really took it was I was ready to play Guardians most of the time, but I had Black Order just sitting there. And
so I'm just going to interrupt you for a second. You only played Black Order in the first round, correct?
Yes. So,
okay. Did you feel like you needed Black Order to win that game?
It was a great choice, that game. It was a 16-point game.
Sure. I'm not saying it wasn't the right call, or it wasn't particularly effective, but do you think you could have won that game with Guardians?
I think Guardians right now don't have many things that they don't like, as long as you're building mobility into them. I don't think. Okay. I think Guardians are. I
was just curious. I wanted to know personally. So,
I'm trying to remember what.
Next, right after you're done talking about your list, we'll talk about our games real quick. But we're not going to do battle reports. We're just going to talk about what the matchup was and if we won or lost.
Okay. Okay. But yeah, I felt like that game. I really liked I really liked Black Order because it was specifically a double object. It was there was 2 secures, only 2 secures, and so I went, let's do it. 16 points, 2 secures. This feels like it's going to be really good for them, and it was.
Yeah.
So I liked it a lot. I'm not going to change this list from its like basic right now, but I'm thinking about that tactics card that allows me to take 2 hammers in the first turn. What's the name of it, Jeremy? Do you remember? You told me, now I forgot.
Eye on the prize.
Eye on the prize. I'm thinking I might put it in there because I wasn't using every tactical slot that I had. So I think I have a place to put that in. And I think it's cute and adorable. I don't know if I'll use it, but it sounds fun. And switching out Killmonger and Drax for Zemo, and I'm not sure what else right now. Probably it'll be one of the characters that is being painted for me right now, like Hulk or something like that.
Okay. Jeremy, is there anything about your list that you would change?
I've already made a couple changes. I was just looking at models I haven't played. I switched my lists up like crazy about a week ago. Shifted into Wakanda with Thanos, and it's amazing. I don't roll any dice, essentially, and the games I've won very handily. If I roll dice, then it's because you've made me do it. It's really fun, really cool. But what I found is there were some models I wasn't using, and there was also models that I was using because, well, Black Cat exists, and she has a thing she does. But at the end of the day, I took her out. Like, she always ends up hurting me. Like, I try to get in there and I try and do a thing, but at the end of the day, like, I have ways to, like, I have Thanos. Like, I'll just take it back. Like, if we play a single, I
Yeah,
can take it
having the
back.
ability to make all of the decisions in the game seems
Yeah.
like a good ability.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't need Black Cat. So I pulled Black Cat out to make my Wakanda list stronger, and put in Lizard. So basically the idea is everybody pushes or throws or makes you walk. So everybody in the list does something like that. And that's the idea. Like, I'm playing scenario really, really hard, and if I have to punch you, I've got models to do that, but it's because you've made me do it. And that's fine.
Yeah.
It's just a whole different way to play. The game that Parker got me for the final game, just so
Whoa, we're not talking about games yet. Just list.
Parker talked about all kinds of games.
Yeah, it's because he's a dipshit that wasted a bunch of time. That's fine.
Yeah. Anyway, I played about 10 games with this list now in a row. I really like it, and that's what I'm going to take this weekend. So that's where I'm at.
And what were the changes you made?
I switched out Black Cat for
That's right.
Lizard. And
Lizard. Gotcha.
That's all I did.
Okay. All right, so I'll talk about my games real quick, and then you guys will follow a similar template. We're going to get moving on here, though. These aren't going to be battle reports. So in the first round... Shit, I totally forgot who I played first round. I want to say it was Bobby, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't Bobby, actually.
No, you played Bobby second round.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I don't know who you played first round.
Who played Criminals against me? Bobby played Criminals. Oh my god, I feel so embarrassed now that I can't remember my game. I should have been thinking about this the whole time.
Do you remember what models were played?
No. I literally don't remember my first game at all.
It wasn't Richard, because I played him.
So I'll work backwards.
Yeah.
I'll just go backwards. So in the third round, I played against Aaron with his Go Wide Criminal list. We've played a couple practice games. So I knew in advance that the only way I could win was if I do the Go Wide Web Warriors and I get lucky on scenario and on some dice rolls. And that's because, like I said earlier, I need to change out my secures. So I need to be able to have an advantage if I win, but right now I'm running non-flip secures. And so if I win priority, it doesn't actually help me. It actually hurts me, because me going first in that matchup actually hurts me because he goes last, which means he guarantees an extra point over me on secures. I played a kind of a gamble because I was the pair down in the third round, and so if I lost, the tournament ended, and I wanted it to end because I had stuff to do that day. And so I went for the low odds out maneuver, and it almost worked for me because he ended up playing Juggernaut in Criminals. I played Hulkbuster, which is the only model I have that can manipulate Juggernaut. But then he didn't fall in for any of my traps. He played really smart. And then in the only round where dice actually mattered, I failed to daze Black Cat, I want to say. Because we kind of reverse engineered the game. I ended up losing like 16 to 12, I want to say. I couldn't stop him from getting to 16, but I got to turn 4, and it was barely I got to turn 4. But it was an interesting game. I don't think I really learned anything I didn't know before. It was surprisingly hard fought, but I played a pretty silly list. If he plays Juggernaut and I don't play Hulkbuster, I don't have any way to manipulate Juggernaut, but I think I can deal with the rest of his list decently well. But I think I slowly lose by 1 every turn. If he doesn't play Juggernaut and I play Hulkbuster, I auto lose. And so I went for the low odds that he would play Juggernaut, and I played Hulkbuster, and it worked out, and it just didn't work out. Round 2, I played against Bobby. Bobby's one of our more casual players. He just doesn't have time to play a lot due to personal reasons, and that's just unfortunate for him. He played Kingpin, Sabretooth, MODOK, Bullseye. I played Miles, Venom, Gwen, Shuri, and Peter. I ended up winning by, I want to say, 4 or 5 points. He basically went for attrition, but also made a misplay early, and wasn't able to leverage Modoc as hard as he needed to, and so it got me a pretty big early lead. God, I still can't remember who I played in the first round. Who was there? Name the people that were there. I didn't play Matt. I didn't play Richard. I didn't play Parker.
Josh.
I didn't play Jeremy. Josh West.
Matthew.
I didn't play Matt.
Was it X-Men?
X-Men. Josh.
No, I played Josh first round.
No. Who did I play first round? This is killing me.
I don't know, man.
All right, so there were 10 people there. It wasn't Parker, Jeremy, Matt, Josh, Richard.
Was it Jason?
Brandon? Jason wasn't there.
Jason.
Was Jason?
Wilborn
Jason
was there.
Oh, I didn't play Wilborn. Oh, I played Perrin. I played against A-Force.
Gotcha.
Yes, Aaron's son, Perrin.
And he almost pushed your
By
shit
the way,
in.
Aaron, if you're listening to this, oh my God. Perrin. I played Perrin. He played A-Force. He got me with the turn 1 special delivery. He beat up Venom really good. I think I had him on scenario by a little bit the whole game, but it was super close. But when it came down to it, Venom man-moded it for me, and Venom survived way more than he should have, which secured the victory towards the middle of the game. So yeah, good job, Venom. A-Force went basically all in on attrition and wasn't able to get there in time. I scored to 16 on turn 3. It was a fun game, though. It was actually super close. If he had gotten a couple more rolls his way, he could have gotten to turn 4. If we go to turn 4, it's a very scary game for me. Okay, Jeremy, who'd you play round 1?
Round 1 was Richard. He was playing Captain America with some stuff.
Steve or Sam?
It was Steve.
Okay.
All I know is there was a voodoo and a few other things. We lined up on Gamma. I was like, okay, let's just do this. I pulled out Thanos with Wakanda. He made a move where he tried to get cute and get the alien ship off to the side.
Yeah.
And that was the end of the game.
Backfired on him, or
it
backfired.
Backfired.
You took it.
It backfired real big. He missed it. So that allowed me to basically take all the points that I wanted in the middle because he didn't have enough, and I just spread him out. And then the next turn, he tried to come back, and I obliged him by activating Thanos first and dazing Voodoo away from everyone. And then I think we got to turn 3, and then he rage quitted. I
know that game ended super quick, but obviously if you go for the low odds play to find it on the outside and it doesn't pay off, you just get punished. So.
It was his list just wasn't going to be able to do. I don't know actually what he was at the end of the day.
He went for the random RNG chance to get an advantage in a low odds matchup. That makes sense.
So yeah, we did that, and that game ended really quickly.
Game 2?
Round 2, I played Josh. Josh has been kind of I don't know. He's been whipping me lately. He's been playing. Yeah, he's been playing X-Men. It's the same kind of thing. It's X-23. He usually has X-23, Honey Badger. He's got the right gear in there to make that little combo live forever.
I know how angry you get against the little claw slash people.
Yeah, I hate them. If they got claws,
they only do well against you, not for you.
Yeah,
they do. They do kick your ass a lot, though.
Huh?
It's like, what if your opponent has knives? Well, I lose. That's how this works.
Yeah, little girl knives.
I believe I played Thanos again. He played high points on me, I think. I don't remember the scenario. He came in, he tried some attrition, but because I was playing Wakanda, I just kind of disassembled him. I'm like, you're going over here, you go over here, I'll score some points. It was a lot closer game, but it was one of those, I was kind of creeping a couple points here and there, and I finally got, I think I got one of the single extracts. So it was a 2-pointer, and I ran away with it with Black Panther. And I think it was turn 4 or 5. I was getting ready to score, and I was like, I think I got this, and we just ended it. But it was a pretty good game. Again, he got me the last few games, so I owed him one. So we played that one. Last game was Parker, and I definitely zigged when I should have zagged. I watched Parker play Black Order in a game earlier, so I knew he was willing to do it. So it wasn't just a feign into Black Order. I knew he was willing to do it. and I tried to oblige him because I got to pick the points,
Yeah.
and it was
You
a
tried to
D.
feed him the 16.
It was a D scenario. It was 16 points. He had it in his list. I was like, "Here, I'm going to hand this to you, and then I'm going to do my best to play against it." And instead of doing that, he ended up picking his other army, the Guardians. All energy attacks, all range 4.
I would like to ask a couple questions here.
Yep.
So, first off, Parker,
Mm-hmm.
did you pick Guardians knowing Jeremy was expecting you to play Black Order?
I didn't. I wasn't trying to juke him, if that's your question. Like I was.
Okay.
I
So
was
you
not.
had no idea he was expecting you to pick Black Order.
I mean, I knew that it was a possibility, absolutely, because I picked 6. I lost priority, right? And that's
No,
right,
I
Jeremy?
picked 16.
You had priority.
Oh, so
That's how you got a D.
that's right. I was like, yes,
Yeah.
that's right. 'cause
I don't have
wanted the
Ds.
D. That's right.
I don't want Ds. I don't
wanted
want the D.
I don't play no fucking D's.
That's right. Now that's actually
We're
so.
like D's nuts.
Pretty much. As soon as I see a D deployment for my list, I'm excited to play Guardians, unless there's some really weird, a really weird thing. Also, I was very close to picking it because he did give me 16 points, and we had it was Senators, right? No, was
What
it
was the other one?
Senators? Yeah, Senator was a single. No, that wasn't Senators. It was the flip on a crit, right? Which one's that?
It was a
Alien
single
ship.
extract.
Yeah, it
because
was
my
alien
black
ship.
cat fucked up twice.
That's right, it's Alien Ship. So actually, I saw Alien Ship, and I was like, oh man, Corvus and Proxima like Alien Ship, or rather they used to. Then I stared at her with their cards for a while. I was like, wait a minute, they don't get a
If you-
huge bonus, except Corvus does get a slight bonus because
Yeah,
his
Reality
skull's
Stone's
also
still a
good.
big bonus. It's
Yeah.
just not fucking overwhelming anymore.
Right. So I was like, I think I would rather be able to just have. I was like, I love D deployments for this list. I'm just going to go ahead and do it this way. So
So your answer is no.
answer is no to what?
The question I asked. Did you know that he expected you to like Black Order?
There is a no. I didn't know that he was.
Okay,
I didn't
no,
know that he.
gotcha.
I didn't know that he was
That's
100%. I didn't know he was 100%. I did know there was a
It's
really
a yes
good
or no
chance I could play
question.
it.
That's all I was looking
Yeah.
for is yes or no.
Yeah.
Okay. So you didn't know that he expected you to take Black Order. Jeremy, what were the odds you thought he was going to play Black Order if you had to put a number on it? 90%?
Yeah, 90.
At least. That's
Yeah,
what kinda
I was
figured.
looking at what I would do in that situation and what he had and what I was getting ready to present because the answer to Thanos is Thanos, and I had a
Yeah.
Thanos. So the way for him
Did
to play
you
a
play
Thanos,
Thanos in that game?
I didn't. I did
Okay.
not because I thought it was going to go
Interesting.
different.
Okay, so this was the finals of the tournament. We had 10 people. It's just a local event, but is there anything you would have done differently, Jeremy, knowing what Parker did? Like, if you knew that he liked playing Guardians on D deployments, would you have chosen something else?
Oh, I would have chosen my Thanos list for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so you would play Black Order and Guardians.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he didn't
Yeah.
have Black Order. He didn't have Black Order.
It wasn't Black
Sorry,
Order.
not Black Order. He just has random Thanos
Right.
in his
Wakanda.
build.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wakanda with Thanos. Yeah. Parker, knowing now that he thought you were going to play Black Order, would you have still played Guardians, knowing that he expected Black Order, or would you have given him the Black Order he expected?
Oh, yeah, since I have my D deployment, I actually thought, I did have the thought, which is, well, Corvus used to be really strong on this, but he's not anymore. So that's one of the reasons why I checked it. I checked to go Guardians, and had I known that he's thought so strongly about Corvus and Black Order still doing so well with the single extracts, I think I would have went Guardians because of my D deployment
Yeah,
still.
even more so on Guardians,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you guys think the game played out about as expected? Like, if you played 10 times, you think this is the most common result,
No,
knowing what you know now?
I don't think so.
Well,
We haven't
what do you-
haven't stated the most important feature of this table.
Oh, yeah, that there was size 50 terrain.
Yeah. And playing
It was
Wakanda,
like 44, I think we added up. It was 2 cosmic terrain kits on the spaceport table.
so size
but yeah.
1s and size 2s
So there
everywhere.
was 8 size 1s. There were, let's see, 2, 4, 5, 10 size 2s. There were 4 size 3s and 2 size 4s. It was a very heavy table. It was by far the heaviest table at the tournament. So it's random chance, 1 in 5 chance you guys drew that table. It's actually less than that because we tried to make sure you didn't play on the same table twice. I know Parker played on that table round 1. Jeremy, did you play on that table before?
No, that was the only time.
That was the only time. Okay. So there was 3 total times you guys played on that table of the 5 options. Yeah, it was definitely a heavy table. I know that affected board manipulation. And with Wakandan specifically, there's a lot of pushing. And having that much strain on the table was a lot.
When I couldn't throw anything or push anything without hitting terrain, it was kind of like, what have I done? I kept trying to
there's nowhere for things to go.
Black Panther couldn't do his leap anywhere. Like I couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
I was like, this sucks. Uh-oh. Are you good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Yep.
I had a little blip. Discord apparently had a ghost update. And it's just like the whole thing closed and came back up. I was like, ah! All right, so anyway.
So then Thanos would be a lot better. I can walk people. I can place people.
Yeah, placing and walking versus pushing and throwing.
That became a humongous problem that I just couldn't figure out.
Was that a shortcoming on your side that you didn't recognize that was going to be an issue before you chose your roster?
Correct.
Okay, so in hindsight, you would have definitely played Black Order.
Yes.
Or not Black Order, you would have played Thanos instead of what you took.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because some of the models became...
I know I didn't want to do battle reports, but because you guys played in the finals, I wanted to talk a little bit about the decision-making, because clearly you were thinking that he was going to do one thing, and Parker was thinking the whole time he was going to do something else, and you guys ended up kind of doing this A versus B kind of thing, and it was interesting to me. All right, so we're going to move on. Thanks for you guys giving me the info you gave me. We're moving on to our main topic today. We're going to get through it pretty quick. We want to talk about which tactics cards that everyone should consider for their rosters. Now, just a little preamble for this. We are not going to talk about affiliated-only cards. We're not going to talk about character-only cards. We're only going to talk about completely generic cards that can be put in any roster without any other restrictions. And we're going to talk about why you should consider them when including them in your roster. So I'm just going to basically run through the cards alphabetically that have no restrictions at all. Does that sound good to you guys?
And then we're supposed to do what? Hit a buzzer?
Yeah, so I'm going to just read them one at a time in alphabetical order that don't have a restriction. And then if you guys hear one that you want to talk about, or if I say one that I want to talk about, we'll pause and discuss it. And then if we agree that it's one that should be considered, we'll put it on the list. And then when we get to the end of the list, we'll see how many we're looking at.
You're reading titles here, right? You're not like reading the whole card.
Correct. Titles of cards.
Good.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not going to read the whole...
I was going to say. And
God, that would take forever.
Go.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think most people will know about these cards. I might skip some that are obvious no-shows. Like, ones that are complete trash. Okay. Are you guys ready? You want to talk about what we're considering here? Because these are not combo cards. These are not potentially niche good cards. These are not corner case cards. These are cards that are like, if you're building a roster, if you don't even consider this card, you're probably making a mistake, and you should at least consider it, right? That's what we're looking at this from.
Okay. For me, my bellwether for this is, can it be played?
Yes.
Like, because that's what it was for me. Because there are some cards in this game that look like great value. There's some cards in this game that definitely have a great effect. But I sometimes you play those cards and and you actually play them 5 times and you never use them and you're like, huh.
Yeah. We talk about this a little bit in the pre-ramble. So at the end of this, after the music, you guys will hear a little bit about our discussion making. But the reason we're talking about this is because we feel like there's only about 15 cards that people need to own to play every affiliation in the game. Yeah. And so we're trying to see if that's correct or if we're just being hyperbolic.
To put it this way, my second and third round at the tournament, both of my opponents and I only had one card that had a character name or an affiliation on it.
That happened. So not that, but in multiple of my games, I had one card different than my opponent.
Yeah.
And I never played the same affiliation as my opponent.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it felt like there was like the usual suspects of 10 cards, and then it's like season to taste is what it felt like.
Okay.
All right, so here we go. Starting at the top of the list, Acute Senses, Advanced R&D.
Advanced R&D.
No, that's not in every list. That's a combo card, right?
No.
I will stab you in the face.
You're incorrect.
Really? You think that's in every list you consider advanced R&D?
I think you should consider it.
When's the last time you played advanced R&D?
I like other cards more because I'm not.
So you've never played advanced R&D?
It's in almost every single group of 10 I have.
That you don't play?
If there's an extract and something I want to turn over or do something,
This
if I
is
want to
gonna
do something,
take forever
what are
if
you
we
talking about?
consider every card.
No,
Really?
but advanced R&D is legit.
After the nerf. After the nerf, you think
Yes.
it's worth playing?
Yes.
I call bullshit. Parker?
I would never put advanced R&D in a list unless it had some really weird thing.
Unless it had a hard combo with a model I was playing.
And here's something really funny. If you tell me my hard combo requires advanced R&D, I actually don't play the combo. That's
No,
I'm
it
the
doesn't have
same
to be
way
a
there.
combo.
Yeah.
It has
It's
to
a
be
combo card.
I want to pick up a hammer and also do an objective. I mean, interact.
That's worth a tactics card to you?
Oh, it's also worth an activation because
It's
somebody
an
else.
active only card. It's an
Right.
activation.
Yeah, no shit.
Right.
I understand how it works.
So you're activating the model on advanced on worthy, not picking up an extract and giving your power to somebody else. And then after your opponent goes, you're activating a model and picking up 2 hammers. That doesn't happen. That's not real.
Oh my god. Okay. You're wrong.
I'll
That's
fight
okay.
you to death. We are
That's
going
all
to
right.
fight to the death tomorrow
Mhm.
with knives.
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 Next.
All right. This is getting a thumbs down for me. Parker, do you agree?
I would absolutely thumbs down this one. It's not.
Yeah, this is a
it may
thumbs
be-
down.
I will
don't-
say. I will say this.
The
Before,
number of times I've played against an opponent that has even had advanced R&D in their roster is less than 6.
I was
And
gonna-
that's after the nerf.
I was going to say, I would say actually now, in my opinion, the fact that they made it an activation, like you have to activate the character, I would rather spend 2 points for Wong. Because Wong's a model, he's also going to give me a power. He does it multiple times per turn, so it's an advanced R&D every turn. And he actually can
Yeah.
heal things. So it's actually like, in my opinion, I pay 2 points for a character instead of a tactics slot. Because it still costs me an activation on a character. And it's not game breaking unless it's
Yeah.
useful multiple times. in my
Advanced
opinion.
R&D, in my opinion, is only an option if you have a super combo in mind.
Yes,
This
you
is
have
not
something-
you just randomly
But
throw in a
But man,
roster.
even with that,
Now,
that's something
before-
strange. I don't know.
Before the nerf, I'm with you, Jeremy. I think
Yeah.
it was there.
Yeah, I agree.
But after the nerf, I don't see it.
I think that every game you look down and say, God, I wish I had a way to create power on this guy. I don't think that's deniable.
I don't think that. I think power is good. I don't think it's a power is worth a tactic slot. And it's not gaining a power; it's moving a power. If that ability was that premium, people would play Inhumans.
But you don't need to do it every turn. You just need it the time you need it. That's my point. It's to
Then
me.
people would play Cyclops.
Oh, good lord, that's different.
It's not. It's
No,
the
it's
same ability.
different. No,
You're moving
it's
a
not.
power from one character to another character, but Cyclops doesn't require an activation to do it.
No, it's different. That's not
All
the
right,
same.
we're
thing.
moving on. Sorry, I
not the
disagree.
same thing.
Parker disagrees. We're in disagreement. Next up is
Okay.
Battle Lust. Bitter Rivals. This is a card we should talk about. This is even
Yeah.
on the restricted list. Bitter Rivals, spend 3, choose an enemy within 3. All other allied characters within 1 of that character roll 1 less attack and defense dice. This is an amazing card. There's a reason it got restricted.
This is you say amazing. This is one of the things about this card is I could see some people really valuing this low because 1 dice, positive or negative, sometimes feels like nothing, right? Because when that 1 dice was a blank, the 1 dice is just a chance to go bigger or smaller, and it feels really bad until somebody plays like a bunch of rapid fire shit, and Bitter Rival's one of the guys, and you're like, oh, I'm about to lose this model no matter what I do. You're like, yep, you're about to lose this model no matter what you do because I've got a bunch of attacks.
Okay.
So
So Bitter Rivals is on the list. Do you agree, Jeremy?
I don't want.
I know you were the biggest
agree
player
with
of this card.
anything you say.
Okay. Parker, are you in?
I 100% think Bitter Rivals.
All right.
She's in the list. Yeah.
Next up, Blind Obsession. We're just hitting them back to back here.
I actually put Blind Obsession on that list of cards that seems really good, but I've put it down and couldn't find a way to play it safely. So maybe it's bad. But
Parker or
I say thumbs.
Parker's a coin flip. It sounds like.
yeah,
Jeremy,
like
what do
yeah,
you think?
It's hard.
Yes, it should be considered.
I think it should be considered as well. This is one of the most game-impacting cards in the entire game. It is a permanent card, one of the very few permanent cards.
Yeah.
Until the character you played on is killed. Very game-impacting, potentially very good, especially if you can isolate a character on a flank. It's amazing. Next up, we have Brace for Impact. God, it's just fucking pouring here. Brace for Impact's obviously on the list.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most important restricted cards. Moving on, we have Climbing Gear. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's...
The A's,
Actually,
B's, and C's have it.
Yeah, A's, B's, and C's. Just B's and C's, really.
Yeah.
Disarm?
Yes, considered.
Not a... You think it should be considered?
Considered, yes.
Yeah.
Parker?
I would agree. It's very neutering.
Yeah, Disarm is one of them.
And
Keep in mind, we've also ignored All You've Got and Drop Off because they're both banned.
Right.
That's one of the cards we've gotten through so far.
Yeah, I was gonna say Disarmor is also one of those that if you look at it, you're like, oh, I'm only going to play this for my scenario guys to keep them alive. Play it in an attrition list one day, put it on their biggest guy, and you're like, oh shit, this is great for my turn.
It's very impacting.
Yeah.
Because you got to remember, the game ranges from 4 to 6 dice, basically.
Yeah.
So -2 makes one of the best attacks in the game, one of the worst attacks in the game.
Right.
It's a big deal. So moving on, we've got Escort to Safety.
I think it's a considered card.
I think it's mostly considered. I think we could leave it off this list and be okay. But it's definitely like right in that range.
That's actually one that kind of like Blind Obsession. I've put down now like 3 or 4 games, and all 3 games it never happened, and it made me sad. Maybe,
yeah, I think it's one of those that you want to put in that doesn't work that often.
But man, it is the thing against some things, right?
Right, it
I think,
stops Helios Laser potentially.
I will say...
I think that's the only reason it's in the conversation.
I actually will say that there's another card we're going to talk to later, which I think is just the better version of this card, because it actually happens every game. But we'll get
Is it an F?
All right, so thumbs up, thumbs down. Who thinks it should be in? Go. I'm going down.
I'm actually going down.
All right, we got 2 downs. It's off the list. I don't think this is a card that's actually considered that often. I think it's considered in some lists. So next up is Extreme Conditioning. Eyes on the Prize, Face Me, Fallback, Field Dressing. Obviously Field Dressing's in.
Yeah.
We're not even gonna talk about this. It's on the list. Follow Me?
I actually think Follow Me should be super considered, I think.
I don't think it's normally considered because it's so expensive.
Yeah, it seems expensive, but there are a lot of characters in the game that can't spend their power very well. And I guess that's the thing, is if you have somebody who's constantly spending their power defensively or to do really game impactful stuff, then its value goes down. But there's so many characters, like your Hawkeyes and your Rocket Raccoons and even things that have really cheap, awesome spenders like Zemo. Some of these really ubiquitous characters that feel good. Winter Soldier is another example where you have 6 power and it feels great. Also,
but do you think it's an every list considered card?
Man,
or do you think it's a good card with some characters?
There's one thing about it that it does that it's not printed on the card, which is it might steal priority. It might steal priority, and that's why I think I would give it a thumbs up. It might steal priority, and I think that's the reason.
Jeremy, what do you think?
I think it's probably great in 50% of the lists.
In 50% of lists. So you don't think it's considered in every list?
No.
Okay, I agree with that. So moving on, we have Grievous Wounds. I would actually put this slightly above Follow Me. But I still don't think it's considered in every list.
I consider it every time I look at it, and then I don't use it.
Every time you look at it, so 1 in 5 lists?
No. I'm saying I don't even put it in the list. I look at it, I consider it, and I'm like, fuck that noise. I will rage quit a game over that card.
Mm-hmm. Next up is Heavy Firepower is trash. Heavy Ordnance. I think this card should be considered a lot more than it is, but it should not be considered that often.
Mm-hmm.
Hired Muscles banned. Indomitable every list.
Yup.
Yeah.
Not even a question. Moving on. Inspiring Monologue. I think this card is kind of been overlooked at this point. I think it's a very good card, but it's still not there. Kick them while they're down. Kunlung Training. I actually think Kunlung Training needs to be involved in a lot more lists, and it actually should be considered in a lot of rosters. Rerolling random attack spikes is hugely powerful, but again, I don't think it's in every list.
I don't either. It's expensive.
It's very
It is 4
expensive.
power.
Yeah.
So this is the gold standard of doesn't get played but should get played, marked for death.
Yeah.
I think it should
Dude,
be
there's-
considered.
I think it should be considered in every list
Yeah.
you play.
Yeah.
When you're like, man, I have an open slot, marked for death, like
Yeah.
every time. It,
Yeah.
it removes stealth, it stops dice mods, it makes people slow. These are all good abilities.
Yeah, it's also super cheap, and it's one of those, it's a meta choice, right? I'm putting this in my
Yeah,
list because
exactly.
here comes Web Warriors. You're like, ooh, this is gonna feel great one turn. Like,
It's not even Web Warriors. It's how many people have stealth nowadays. Black Cat. The
right?
character is probably the most included character in all rosters in the entire game right now. Black Cat is a speed long stealth model.
Yeah.
Like, hello, like lock that shit down.
Hmm.
All right, so Marked for Death's on the list. And I think we're fairly unique in saying that. We love Marked for Death, and it doesn't get played enough. Moving on, Med Pack, obviously.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Not even a question. Next up, we have Mission Objective.
I think it should be considered.
Parker?
Yeah, probably, because it's also one of those cards that even if it never actually gets played, it does something. Like your opponent,
Okay.
if your opponent sees that you have it, you go, oh shit, I have to play this turn differently. Like
The reason I decided I wasn't going to argue against this card, but I wasn't going to argue for it. The fact is, this card can get you one control point 90% of games,
Mhm.
and that can win you some games.
Mhm.
So I'm not going to argue against it. Okay. Next up, we have No Escape, No Matter the Cost, 1-2 Punch, Patch Up, the worst restricted card,
Yeah.
Psionic Shielding Device, Recalibration Matrix.
Considered.
You think so?
Yep.
You don't think it's been left behind?
Still.
It's cheap. It's
Cheap. It costs 3 power.
compared to the 4 that just gets you reroll on the other thing.
Selective rerolls are better than general rerolls.
I think this card is so many times it's that one roll that matters, and when you can change it, I've won games off that card. I wish I have it a lot of times.
All right. Parker, do you agree?
Yeah, every time I played
Okay.
against somebody with it, I go, oh man, here it comes. It's going to happen. And it does. And you're like, ah, shit.
All right, moving on. We have Red Room Training, Reversal, Rocket Boots, Sacrifice.
Sacrifice considered.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
so that's actually
This is a recent meta adaptation. This card's been out since the core set, I believe. Why is it now good and it wasn't good before?
I think the
People have just learned that one attack can make the difference in a game.
that and like so many different lists out there don't have a good bodyguard all the time. Like there for a bit, you always took a Koye. Like you always had a good bodyguard.
So you think this might be a function of a Koye getting nerfed?
Potentially.
yeah.
I mean, maybe. I don't know, but it does
Okay.
seem that I mean,
I
and it's
don't
cheap.
think this is a every list card. I think this is a specific list card. If you've got a really valuable model and someone that tends to hang around them that you don't give a shit about, this is great. But there's a lot of lists where that's not true.
I think there's always that character that you wish they'd attack instead of.
Sure, but they have to be within range too. You have to have
Mhm.
power on both characters.
1 power, you get that every turn.
Yeah, but it costs you that power.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you won't have enough to pay it. I'm just saying that it costs the power. So obviously, like, Corvus and Proxima is a perfect example. You would give anything for them to attack Proxima over Corvus. And they
Mhm.
always have power, and they're always together. So that's an always happening situation. But like in Web Warriors or Criminals, or even Sam, really, it's like, this isn't an every list card.
Yeah, you're probably right on that.
I think I also think one of the things about this card that it forces your opponent to functionally, hopefully, lose the efficiency that they were looking for, right? Because
Sure.
most of the attacks in the game are pretty premium because you only have a few of them
Yeah.
over the course of the game. So when you go, okay, I'm going to plan on this thing happening, and all of a sudden you're like, sacrifice, That's, I think, a huge effect on the game. It's
I don't think it's a huge effect. I think it's only a huge effect in very specific situations. And in the situations that you have a specific character that you need to win the game, like a Corvus Glaive or a... Man, what's a good example of this? Hell, even like a Venom or something. Like, there's a lot of characters that can like turn the game, like a Doctor Strange, a Magneto, a Mystique. Like, there's characters that are like, if I can get to my activation, this game will turn on its head. There's a lot of situations like that. But how often, in addition to that, is Sacrifice ready to go? And so I don't think it's great for every list. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that in the right situation, it's not an amazing card. Everyone would agree to that. I'm saying that it's not a card you would put in every list.
I think in this game, because they are scenarios, unless you... Because there are scenarios in this game, and you should, in a reasonable number of games, see 2 or 3 secures. You're going to have characters bunched up together. Like, it's going to happen. I think Sacrifice
I actually would argue the exact opposite. Because of scenarios you have to spread out. In a game where you average 4 models, I don't think the concept of having 2 people within range 2 of each other is a great plan, especially when board control is an option. All they have to do is activate their throw ability before they attack you, and this card doesn't work.
Yeah, but then they're not doing 2 attacks, right? Or
No, they are doing 2 attacks. They can still attack you twice. So if you have 2 people sitting next to each other, neither of them are bodyguards. I pick up random jackass cheap model and throw him away from Doctor Strange, then punch Doctor Strange twice. This card does nothing.
Right.
That's all. My only argument is that it's not great in every list. There are lists this card is obviously great in. I'm just saying this is... If you're like, I have 1 slot open, Sacrifice is not one of the first cards you look at. You look at the other cards first, and then look at Sacrifice.
I would look at this before Bitter Rivals, for example, every time.
Really?
I think it's...
Okay.
I value controlling my opponent's turn much more than I value 2 dice, or even 4 dice.
All right. Jeremy, do you agree still? Have you changed your mind?
I agree. I think it's always good.
Sacrifice is on the list. You guys are both wrong. That's fine. Moving on, we have Seeing Red, Smash, Sucker, Tactical Analysis, Tactical Maneuvers, The Initiative. What the fuck? I forget. It's not a shield card.
It's technically not a card.
God damn it. All right, it's not legal yet. Trip Up, Unearthly Rage, Versatile Strategy. What the fuck is this one?
It's the one that lets you switch it.
Oh, that's the change leadership one. Yeah, that's definitely not in. Warpath, Exceptional Healing. Wow, that's not restricted. And that's the end of the list. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Fuck, I lost count. So we have 12 cards we came up with. We have Bitter Rivals, Blind Obsession, Brace for Impact, Climbing Gear, Disarm, Field Dressing, Indomitable, Marked for Death, Med Pack, Mission Objective, Recalibration Matrix, and Sacrifice. So, when we started this conversation, did you guys think we were about 12 cards?
I thought it was going to be 10.
I said 15, so yeah, sounds about right.
I was under the impression that we get to about 15 also. And I don't even agree with all the cards on this list, so I think 10 was probably closer to my expectations. There's not a lot of good non-restricted cards.
Correct.
It's funny. The ones on this list, though, are pretty awesome. And they're not a lot, yet if you were going to stack a lot of these up against affiliated cards and character cards, they do not seem close.
So 4 of these cards are restricted, so you could only even legally play 10 of them.
That's a good point.
Should we take restricted cards off the list, or should we just put them in a separate category?
I think they should come off the list. I mean, I think they're a target. Everybody knows about them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not a surprise that you should include restricted cards in your list.
Did you know you should have 2 restricted cards?
I don't think I've ever played a roster since they announced the restricted list that didn't have exactly 2.
Yeah. I think Jeremy has.
And the funny
Jeremy
part is
Jeremy, didn't you do it just to, like, do a big fuck
No,
you
he
to
just
restricted?
stopped playing field dressing because he wanted to prove that you didn't need it. And then lost a whole lot of games in a row.
True. That's true.
Show me the lie. All right, so there's only 8 cards we think should be considered in every list that aren't restricted. They are in order of alphabeticalness: Blind Obsession, Climbing Gear, Disarm, Indomitable, Marked for Death, Mission Objective, Recalibration, Matrix, and Sacrifice. And I don't abide by Sacrifice.
I don't abide by recal, but
Yeah, I think Recal's a bit of a stretch just because it's so generically good. And there's literally never a game where you didn't wish you rolled slightly better.
that's the guess.
So
That's the only reason that's on the list is because D8s are so frustrating.
Yep.
All right, so I think we can cut Sacrifice and Recal and be pretty happy with this list. Are there any that we feel like got missed out that you wish were on this list that are not?
Jeremy has, like, what, 4 or 5?
I think he came to his senses on those.
I'm fine with all of that. I would feel very good about telling a person, look at those. Like, you need to check your lifestyle. Like, you're making bad choices. Look at these.
How many cards are on the restricted list? Is it just like 6? I keep forgetting because they keep putting Dune Prophecy on the restricted list, then taking it off, then putting it back on, then changing its affiliation, then taking it back off. I can't remember. Banned and restricted list. Restricted list is only Brace, Bitter Rivals, Field Dressing, Medpack, Patch Up. We didn't choose Patch Up. So we have 4 of the 5 restricted cards. All 3 of the banned cards would have made it, because it's all you've got drop off and hired muscle, and all of those would have made it in. Yeah, I thought this list would be longer, honestly. So after restricted cards, affiliated only cards, and character only cards, how many of these cards do you think make most rosters? Because I would say Climbing Gear is like a 90%er.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I don't see the rest of these that often. Like, Blind Obsession shows up, Disarm shows up, Indomitable's in every list. So the Indomitable's a 90%er, Climbing Gear's a 90%er. Then Marked for Death I almost never see, but I think it should be in most lists.
Mm-hmm.
Mission Objective should be probably about 50% of lists. And then the same with Recal. And then Sacrifice I think should be like 30%.
I would agree with all that.
Yeah, I was trying to think of, based upon my original statement of, can you use them to make an effect that helps you win the game? The only one there that I don't know if I like is Blind Obsession still, but that's the only one that doesn't really. That's the only one that I can think of. I can think of scenarios in which it didn't help, but
I think Blind Obsession is corner case. I mean, but yeah, it's not every list. I can't. Yeah, that doesn't work in every list. It just doesn't.
I think Blind Obsession has such a huge upside that it doesn't matter how hard it is to get to work. Because if it works, you win the game. Because it's such a huge swing in game state.
Mm-hmm.
But I could be wrong.
I think if you don't have priority, it doesn't work. And you have to wait till late game. And
I don't know that that's true just because of the fact that you can force your opponent to do stuff. Like, if your opponent plays Blind Obsession at the right time, you can basically pick your opponent's activation. And sometimes, that's worth it alone.
Yeah.
If you're like...
I still don't think...
Zemo plays Blind Obsession on Doctor Strange, you go, fuck, I have to do this right now to stop Zemo from killing Doctor Strange. Because the fucking 7-attack die Zemo with rerolls is going to kill Doctor Strange.
Yeah, but in the same sense, like, somebody just kills Zemo. Like,
not everyone kills Zemo automatically.
When Zemo rolls 1 die, you do. He only has
that's
5
one
health.
die with one die with a reroll.
Oh, Jesus
Like,
Christ.
We've seen Rocket Raccoon survive fucking Juggernaut for 2 turns. So
I
See,
mean,
that-
okay, the
there-
argument's there that card can be good in any list at any time. I mean, we
if
punch
a card
people.
said you get to choose your opponent's first activated model, would that card be good?
Wait, what?
Sometimes.
Because
Why does
looking
it
at
say
the
that?
game state, you can play Blind Obsession in a way that you effectively force your opponent to activate a model.
Do explain. Explain, how's that?
So standard game state, you look at the game state and go, who is the only model that can fuck with this guy? And you play Blind Obsession with that model. And then they either activate the model that is countering them, or you get to activate with full bonuses with Blind Obsession.
Mhm.
And so at bare minimum, you're flattening the curve of how good priority is going to be.
I will say that, okay, you spend the power to give yourself 2 attack dice against their 2 attacks they're going to do against you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Which is the most efficient 2 power you can spend in the game.
sure, but like Doctor Strange and Cable already do that, and no one is like,
That's not what Doctor Strange and Cable do.
Yeah, they do. They spend power to give people 2 defense dice. So like
That's
they spend more power to do it twice, right? They spend more power to do it twice.
no, but they don't get the attack dice. Is my point.
Yeah, but what you're saying is the way you were talking about it is you're forcing your opponent because they
No, the
because they
forcing
need
your
to
opponent's
attack.
thing is you play Blind Obsession on somebody else, and they're forced to activate a different model to deal with the Blind Obsession model. And so
Oh.
let's say I have a Zemo. I play Blind Obsession on your Doctor Strange. They have to activate Doc Voodoo or Hood to kill Zemo right now, or Zemo will kill Doctor Strange.
Okay, but why didn't you just activate Zemo right then? You're just saying
Because you don't have
to.
priority. That was Jeremy's point, is that if you don't have priority, it's not as good.
I see your
It's
point.
better if you have priority, but if you don't have priority, you just use it in a different way.
Got
You
it.
use it to force your opponent's hand, and if they don't, then who the fuck cares, because you get to use your Blind Obsession model.
Mhm.
And so if they're like, okay, well, I'm going to activate Magneto. Magneto's going to kill Doctor Strange. Well, I'm going to Blind Obsession Doc Voodoo so that he is in position to kill your other model. So if you do what you're planning on doing, I have a counterplay. And so it puts them in a spot where, regardless of what they do, you at least have an option. Most cards can't even do that.
I actually do
And
like.
so I like Blind Obsession for that reason.
I also
That it gives you a way to turn the situation on its head and make your opponent make the worst of 2 choices.
I also like the Blind Obsession that it does happen in the activation phase. It is unique for a couple of reasons. It sticks on models for the whole game,
Permanent,
and it doesn't require activation, the character to activate it. Right? It just happens,
sure.
which is
A
interesting.
lot of cards don't require that, but this list requires several activated or reactive
Well,
cards.
a lot of cards require you to have the active turn at least,
Yes.
and this
Yeah.
card does not.
Yeah,
require
because
you
it's
to
a
have the active turn.
response to the activation phase. Yeah,
Right.
It bypasses normal turn order.
That's one of the reasons why I think, like you
Yes.
said, it's kind of interesting that you can play it as you don't have to play it as just I want 2 attack dice this round. Instead, you're saying I want actually for my opponent to have a rock and a hard place, right? I want my opponent
Yeah.
to have to
I'm
wonder what to
coming
do
off
now.
of a weird situation because the list I've been playing for the last 2 months was I was playing 7 character only cards, and so that was a really weird situation for me. And it was actually really fun because it felt like the characters I played with every game determined my tactics cards.
Mhm.
And so it wasn't just take the same 5 cards every game. It was, I'm taking the 5 characters I want to play with,
Mhm.
and then those were determining my tactics cards in response. So it was kind of fun to do that. So I was playing new tactics cards every game, depending on what the best characters to play were.
They all have their mini feeds.
Right, exactly. It was like a bunch of little small feat or stratagem type abilities for the specific characters I was playing. It was really fun. So I've broken down the list that we built into a 1 to 4 choice, or I've sorted them in order at least. So the non-restricted cards are in order of impactfulness, in my opinion. We have Indomitable, Climbing Gear, Marked for Death, Disarm, Mission Objective, Recalibration Matrix, Blind Obsession, Sacrifice. Would you guys agree with or disagree with that order of importance?
You have Indomitable as number 1.
Yeah. Climbing Gear is number 2. And honestly, those are pretty interchangeable. It's
Yeah.
just your opinion on the situation. Indomitable can not only counter a control effect, but can also negate damage. So I put it number 1.
Yeah, it can win. It can get.
Climbing Gear only counters control effects, but it also can counters control effects that Indomitable doesn't counter, like mind control effects. So they're kind of like 1 and 2 A, B. They're not really one's better than the other, in my opinion.
Also, climbing gear can give you initiative, like you
Right.
you couldn't get there.
Throws
But now
are
you can.
more common than mind control effects, so I put Indomitable number 1.
Yeah.
But they're really A and B. They're not like 1 and 2.
So what's number 3?
Number 3 is Marked for Death, because I think it's massively undervalued. Like, incredibly so. Because between stealth and long movers and defensive dice mods, this card is literally useful in every single game. There's never a game that you would have Marked for Death on the table and not play it. And then after that we have Disarm, because again, literally useful in every game.
Mm-hmm.
Then Mission Objective, because one control point can make the difference. And then Recalibration Matrix. And that's really the one that I wasn't sure on.
Mm-hmm.
Because dice mods are always good, but it's only one reroll throughout the entire game. My thought was, what are the odds that one singular attack would determine the outcome of an entire game? That's why I put it so low. But it's a very good card.
Okay. I don't have any argument there with any of that.
And then Blind Obsession, which I actually think should be higher. And then Sacrifice, which should definitely be the last.
Yeah, those are all good choices. I think.
Yep.
I think seeing lists with those, I can go, yep, I understand.
Yeah. Then doing the list of restricted cards, I have Medpack, Field Dressing, Brace, and Bitter Rivals. The only reason Field Dressing isn't first is because there are some games where it's never good to play Field Dressing. There's never a game when Medpack is bad.
I'm actually thinking about switching mine.
Oh, yeah?
And it's just for how I've been playing and what I keep seeing happening. I haven't been playing Field Dressing. Like, I get myself, like, I'm just not, it just hasn't happened. Like, it just isn't. But I'm also not playing attrition. Like, I'm not trying to get.
Have you tried being less bad at the game?
I know, and I keep doing it, but I keep thinking to myself, I wish I had Medpack.
Dude, every time I play without Field Dressing, I feel like it's nails on a chalkboard, and I'm like, no, it's okay. I'm just biased. And then I play the game and I go, no, it would have literally won me the game. And I get really pissed.
I know. And it happens to me too. And it could be just the fact that I have Field Dressing. People are playing around it, and
it's
I'm like,
weird. It's
it
like
is.
I'm trying to succumb to peer pressure that I'm wrong while being right. And it's so freaking weird.
I want to be so wrong. Like, I want to be wrong.
I want to be wrong, but it feels so right. I'm like, have you guys ever actually used Field Dressing in a game? Are you really that insane?
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, it always does.
Yeah.
It's always good.
I'm willing to consent that Medpack is better than Field Dressing on the sole argument that's literally useful, not only every game, but almost every single turn of the game. That that Medpack would be good. If you could just play 5 Medpacks, I don't know that would be a bad idea.
No.
I think I would play 5 Medpacks.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know that I would play 5 Field Dressings.
Can I have a leadership that allows me to play Medpack every turn?
Apparently we're getting there pretty quickly. All right. So anyway, I think that's most of what we were arguing about. So just one more time to recap. Our restricted cards in order: Medpack, Field Dressing, Brace, Bitter Rivals. But again, 1 and 2 are interchangeable. It's really preference. Our non-restricted cards that should be considered in every list: Indomitable, Climbing Gear, Marked for Death, Disarm, Mission Objective, Recalibration Matrix, Blind Obsession, and Sacrifice. And again, 1 and 2 are easily interchangeable. It's really your call. But if you're playing a list without Medpack, Field Dressing, Indomitable, and Climbing Gear, you should stop and retry making your tactics card selection.
Try again.
Am I crazy here? Is there ever a roster you play against when your opponent doesn't have those 4 cards and you go, oh man, my opponent has clearly made the right decision?
I always think that maybe they figured the game out, like in some
Yeah,
crazy...
maybe they're like galaxy braining me while I'm like fucking in preschool, but then you play the game, you're like, nope, that was not the case.
Yeah.
No, it always turns out that they don't own vision.
Yeah. My opponent has not decided to purchase Winter Soldier or Gamora yet. And those are the only downsides to his game.
And then you look down at the table and they have both Winter Soldier and Gamora on the table. You're like,
what
is happening?
Go, what the fuck are you doing?
What is happening?
Yeah. Yeah. Very sad. I saw other Brandon today, and guess what he was buying?
Winter Soldier and Gamora?
No, he already bought those because obviously he needs
Vision.
Dressing. Yeah, he bought Daredevil and Bullseye.
There you go.
Because he needed climbing gear.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are welcome, by the way.
Yeah.
He had a good game. We gave him a good game. It was fun. Now he's in. I will never let him beat me again. I will do everything I can.
Just for the people at home, Jeremy likes to claim that he lets people win when they push his shit in.
I know.
It's like, if you've ever seen like a post hole digger, that's Jeremy playing new people.
Oh, whatever.
Jeremy, you're like the best person to play new because what happens is
he can't beat new players. It's just like a weird reflex he has that just like is make all the wrong decisions.
No, I was about to say he makes all the correct decisions, so your opponent feels like you really were giving him a great experience, but then they will roll just like lights out.
So hot.
Oh yeah.
Or just say something like, okay, my cool character has this thing where if you move close to me, I can roll dice. Now I have to roll 5 dice. If I get a crit, then you die. But it had to be a crit, and you roll 5 crits, and you're like, oh cool, it worked. And like that's what happens when Jeremy plays new players, is all their stuff works. It's not that you did anything to hand it to them. It's just all their stuff happens. Yeah.
Yeah. We used to call this living the dream in War Machine, which your opponents were just like trying to stop you but couldn't actually accomplish the stop, and then you got to do all the stuff you've always wanted to do. And you're like, oh man, what if your opponent walked into countercharge 4 times in a row? Oh, just play Jeremy. It's fine.
If you ever want to gleam the cube.
That's exactly. It's like, what if you got to get all 4 worthy hammers on MODOK? What would happen? Just play Jeremy and find out.
Yep. And you would have taken them because you one-shot MODOK to get 4 hammers.
Yeah. Because Nebula walked up and one-shotted Black Panther without spending power.
Yep.
Anything's possible.
Parker's like, I beat criminals. It's easy. Just roll 7 hits on 4 dice.
Yeah, I did that.
You fucking dipshit.
Everything's possible in Zombo.com.
Yeah.
Even
at Zombo.com, anything is possible. The only restriction is you.
That's exactly right. Yeah. You can kill a Black Panther. Your Rocket Raccoon.
If anyone doesn't know, the first website ever designed was Zombo.com. You should go to Zombo.com right now. It's still up.
Is it
go
really?
to Zombo.com. Yes, it is. I will go. Let's just type it in. Zombo.com. Zombo.com.
Yeah, it's the first trolling website ever.
The only restriction to you. Yeah, Zombo.com is definitely still up. It loaded in a quarter of a second. It's the first website. When was it that Grand Bell guy invented the telephone, he plugged it into an Ethernet port and went to Zombo.com. That is the first thing that ever happened on the internet. There is only one place. There is Zombo.com.
Everybody probably thinks
the Badger fucking video came from Zombo.com, I swear. There's no proof, but it happened. All right. So hopefully you guys liked our talking about tactics cards. Lately we've been feeling like there's no real options. We've gotten to the point where the tactics card game has been solved. I just looked it up. There are 186 known tactics cards in the game, and you can play 12 of them. So good job.
Neat.
You don't need to own 174 of the cards. Just throw them away.
Yep.
You have
especially
all the options.
Since the 3 best of them have been banned. Oh my god.
Options.
Badger.
Yep.
Snake,
I know we've talked about a couple different ways that they could fix this for real, like in the game. They could find a way to fix it. But can we just I feel like we need to do kind of like what we did with our draft league idea, and just take those cards you just mentioned, this list we just made,
all 12 of them.
all 12 of them, and say can't play them for this league, and just
Well,
otherwise
that's
just
not
play
the
games.
problem, right? Because 6 of these 12 don't get played. And that's kind of what my argument was when we started this conversation, is the problem is half the list doesn't get played.
Yeah.
Because the other 5 of your tactics cards are filled up with fucking character only and affiliated cards. And so it doesn't even matter what the other half of the list is. Like, only the first half matters, because every fucking list has 2 of these 4 restricteds and 3 of these 8 unrestricted cards.
Mhm.
And so that's half your list. The other half of your list is restricted cards. Or sorry, not restricted, but affiliated.
So I'm a little confused. What's your argument here?
Is that because you're playing affiliated and character restricted cards. So, like, for example, if I'm playing Brotherhood, I'm playing Asteroid M, I'm
Right.
playing Deception, and I'm playing Magnetic Refraction. So 3 of my cards are gone. Then I'm playing 2 restricteds, we're up to 5. I'm playing Kaiman Gear and Indomitable, I'm up to 7. And then I'm probably playing the new Juggernaut card, Do You Know Who I Am? And then I have 2 cards to actually choose from. So of my 10, 8 of them are literally written in stone, carried by Moses, screaming at the top of his lungs from a mountain. I don't get to decide these. And so I get to pick 2 of my 10 tactics cards.
What do you mean don't get to
And if
decide?
you do anything else, you're actively trying to lose.
Okay, that's what you're saying. You're saying that.
Yes.
You're
if
saying
you
that
don't take
that...
those 8 or 7 cards, you're trying to lose the game. Because there's such a gap in power level of the broken cards to the fair cards.
I think
broken.
I
don't know
think
if these are broken.
I don't know about broken. They're extremely good.
Their power level is high. Yes.
Yeah.
So
it's like over 9,000.
Yeah.
What happens if they just do what they did with Battle Realm or whatever the fuck they called it? Like, just you get to see your opponent's list, you get to see the missions or whatever, and
I argued
just grab 5
months ago. There needs to be a new tactics card that costs 0, playable as a response to the activation phase. You choose one of your opponent's tactics cards and turn it face down. Expend it.
Yikes.
It can be called counter plan or planning ahead or whatever the fuck you want to call it. You spend a tactics card, you choose one of your opponent's cards, turn it face down, they choose one of your cards, turn it face down. You can burn 2 of your tactics cards to get rid of one of your opponent's tactics cards. Because in the right situation, it is 100% worth it.
Yeah, but then
if you just look across the field like, I'm going to, in the power phase, delete my opponent's field dressing. Fucking worth it. Pick any of my card you want.
Yeah, but that's fine. But then you're suggesting let's just print another card that everybody takes. That doesn't really help the situation.
No, because I don't think everyone would take it. If it costs you 2 slots, I don't think everyone takes it. I think the people that know like the really fine parts of the game know that that's the difference. It's like, okay, you can't play field dressing. You can't play Indomitable. You can't play Medpack. You can't play, I don't know, Do You Know Who I Am? Like, you can play it, like, this turn, my opponent's going to play this card, and I'm going to lose the game when it happens. That's the only time you play this card. Yeah, I think that card needs to happen. I also think the restricted list needs to be expanded. It needs to be about 10 or 12 cards. I don't think 5 or 6 is enough. Let me double check. Hold on. I Control Shift T'd and open Zombocom. Thanks, Zombocom.
Gotcha.
Brace, Bitter Rivals, Field Dressing, Medpack, Patch Up. There's only 5 restricted cards. You can take 2 of them. What's the point of the restricted list if it's only 5 cards? It should be 10 cards. So if the restricted list included Indomitable, Climbing Gear, Disarm, and Blind Obsession, I think the game would be in a better place. Because if there's 2 cards that are in every fucking roster, what does it matter that there's a restricted list, right?
Yeah.
There's no reason Indomitable and Climbing Gear shouldn't be on the list. They're just as powerful as any of those other cards.
Yeah, I agree.
So it needs to expand to at least 7, probably 10.
Yeah, but that's not... I don't think we should. I don't think it's like a reasonable expectation to have. I don't think they're...
Sure, but I mean, doesn't mean it wouldn't be a good change.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I'm not saying that Pagani's listening, because clearly we need to message Ominous so that he will tell Pagani
That's true.
that this needs to happen. So everyone message Ominous on Facebook or Twitter or his podcast channel, whatever, however you can get a hold of Ominous. Let him know that he needs to tell Pagani to expand the restricted list. It's the only way we can save the game.
I've
guys.
heard that's true. I had a friend.
I've also heard this is true.
I have a cousin
from
cousin,
people that know,
yeah.
that would know if it's true. I've heard it's true.
I've got a cousin that's friends with a friend of his.
Yeah,
and
he says it's the only way.
Yeah, it's been confirmed.
Confirmed. Yeah. God. I cannot wait to read Ominous's messages to me. What the fuck are you doing? Stop doing that!
Quit it.
Quit it! I am literally getting yelled at by Wills.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh man. Anyway, so yeah, I think the restricted list needs to be expanded or just eliminated because nobody's going to play patch up. That's not an irrelevant choice. Because even if we eliminated the restricted list, you probably at most play 3 of the restricted cards, right?
Yep, I'd play 3.
Medpack, field dressing, and then pick Brace or Bitter Rivals. You're not playing all 4.
I'm about to do 3 when Shield comes out because
when Shield comes out, right?
Yeah.
But like I know you were talking about that when we went to dinner after the tournament.
Yeah,
but like it doesn't really change anything,
right? It doesn't. It's not an enormous. Yeah, it's not a crazy advantage. Yeah,
and you're like, I play both med packs. You're like, bitch, I have Hood. Who the fuck cares? Like,
right.
It's not a big deal.
Right.
Who isn't healing?
Yeah. It's like, you have to play a Tactics card to heal 3? What are you, a dipshit? Like, whatever.
Yeah, that was my big thing against Advanced R&D, is like, just play Wong if you really, really, really want to do it, because you could do it.
Yeah. If that ability was valuable, people would literally play Inhumans.
Yeah.
Like, that would just happen. It's not a valuable ability anymore.
Right.
No,
so,
you got to play Black Bolt Barkagon or whatever. Barkagon, like
Barkagon Boltagoo.
Mortigo, Gorgadon.
Yeah.
Schmidt.
So anyway, we're running a little long today. These are the tax cards we think you should contemplate when building a roster if you have any empty slots at the end. Most importantly, I think specifically from 3 to 8, we have Mark for Death, Disarm, Mission Objective, Recal, Blind Obsession, and Sacrifice. These cards are not played enough. If you're not playing these cards, look at them. Maybe pull them out of your like big box of bulk cards that you never look at and put them with the cards you actually consider on a regular basis so that you'll think about them next time you're building a roster. We think that they're worth at least a consideration in your roster. The other 6 cards here, they're already getting looked at, so it's no news. But, obviously they're very, very good. So I think that's going to wrap it up for us today. Is there anything else you guys would like to talk about before we wrap it up?
Okay.
Nope.
I have a quick question for you guys before we wrap it up.
God damn it.
He knows. Jeremy, I have a question.
Yeah.
How do you lose 10 pounds while eating cake? You go to a bakery in London.
I like that one.
Shit.
I'm only laughing because Parker laughed at this terrible joke.
I loved it.
That
I
was
liked it
bad.
a lot.
Jeremy was just angry. He was like, "You did not fucking just say those words to me."
I liked
I
it.
couldn't figure out what it was going to be, though. You got me on that one.
Got him.
That's why I
Got
liked
riddled.
it. It's I couldn't. That seemed like a really obvious one, but I couldn't get it, and there it is.
Yeah, I waited for a while because I knew you guys wouldn't guess it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been Brandon. I also go by Boycott the Forums. Thought crimes are a real crime.
Yeah. Dr. Mantis Toboggan, MD. I'm always going to be a presence everywhere. He's a doctor.
Everywhere there's a doctor.
Yeah.
Advanced R&D is good. Jeremy out.
False. Real false facts.
Shut the fuck up. We were done.
falsefacts.com.
We were done.
We were
Advanced R&D
done.
is good. Advanced R&D is good. It's fine.
False.
Beats Bears.
This has been
Battlestar.
Play Good Cards or Else.
So what are we gonna call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just gonna put down infamous.
Alrighty, we did it, guys.
I'm podcasting.
We did it.
Hooray!
So, Jeremy, what is your opinion about people being excessively late to things and wasting other people's time? How do you feel about that?
Man, I tell you, nothing makes me more mad than waiting on people who are running behind.
It's just disrespectful, right?
How much time would you say is late, though? What would you say is actually a person being late?
43 minutes.
I was going to say 42.
42?
I was very,
That's a good round number.
I didn't start, like, really getting angry. Like, if we were talking about an instance, like, I started getting angry, like, a bit ago, but 42 minutes was my point. Like, yeah, I was
if I
done.
was to draw, like, a graph of your anger, it'd be, like, moving along, 40 minutes, starting to get aggravated, 42 minutes, spikes, and then plateaus permanently at the exact same level.
Oh, I don't know about plateau. Like it was out of control rage. Like it was starting to become.
Streaming my screen. I'm gonna kill our bandwidth. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, I was starting to look up numbers. I was getting ready to like go on the internet and start. Social media is crazy. Like it really is.
You Googled "Has Parker died"?
Just to be sure.
No specific search.
Just to be
Parker's
sure.
Probably dead.
Yeah.
All right, but on a serious topic, guess what I did for the last 3 hours?
Caught up with Moon Knight.
I did not watch Moon Knight.
I did.
I've heard it's good.
I have not watched the second episode yet, but I
have not seen the second episode either. Jeremy, did you see the third episode?
I've seen the second episode. There is no third. Trick question.
You're behind the times, is what I'm hearing. Okay.
Trick question.
Yeah, that sounds good. What did you say, turducken?
I said trick question.
Trick question. But I've only seen the first episode. Parker's only seen the first episode. I very much like the first episode. It's better than I thought it would be already. So I've heard the second episode is good.
Yeah,
I'm gonna make a bold claim. Like I like this so much more than Hawkeye already, and I didn't mind Hawkeye at all. But I like this so much more than Hawkeye already.
I liked Hawkeye, but this definitely has a higher production value feel to it. Like this feels like it felt like the first 30 minutes of a movie.
Yeah.
This one feels like superhero magic and wizards. Like, and Hawkeye felt like Dude Next Door. Like, it really felt like
felt like weird
manageable
spy movie thing. Yeah.
So they're definitely very different.
It felt like the Moon Knight comic feels like this. The Hawkeye comic feels like Hawkeye. Like, they obviously are trying to make it feel like the source material, and
I'm trying to avoid spoilers here, but the first episode of Moon Knight felt like Relic meets was it the movie called shit?
It's called Shit.
John Cusack.
Shit.
The John Cusack schizophrenic movie where it takes place at a hotel.
That's like ID or something, wasn't it? Is that what it's called?
ID.
Identity.
That's what it's called. Identity. Yeah, something like that. So it feels like those two things like mashed together and made into a TV show. It's pretty cool so far. But yeah, I'm excited to see the next episode. Are you guys excited? We're getting close to Doctor Strange.
Yeah, it's coming right around the corner.
That movie's going to be fucking awesome.
I keep forgetting that it exists, to be honest with you.
I know, right? It feels like we're not allowed to see it. It's like when you went to the movie theater and you saw the first trailer for like Force Awakens, and it was like coming 2029, and you're like, fuck me, that's like 10 years. Like it was so far away. It was literally 2 years away when the first teaser came out. I was like, what's the point of making a teaser? Everyone's gonna see the fucking movie. Like it's like no one's gonna see Star Wars because of a teaser. They're already gonna see it, or they're not already gonna see it. What a waste of advertising.
Also, I think Black Widow like changed the way I think of trailers, because I think the first trailer for Black Widow came out 7 or 8 years before the movie.
It really did.
But that was not how it felt. It was actually
It was 17 and a
true.
half millennia before the fucking Black Widow movie actually came out.
Yeah, it was very strange.
We got a miniatures game that had Black Widow in it, and a second Black Widow came out before we actually got the movie. Like, what the fuck? Like, it was so stupid long.
Very few people know this, but the original Black Widow trailer came out on the premiere of the Titanic. So it's been out for a while.
Yeah.
It was also it was at the I went to go see I think it was Citizen Kane, and there was
Citizen Kane,
there was
the original showing.
It was in the scroll. Keep a lookout for Black Widow movie coming in 2021.
And they were like, Black Widow sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very very frustrating.
On anime news, something coming up. I just saw it today. Super cool. Did you guys ever see the original anime movie called Spriggan?
No.
Spriggan.
Like Spriggan.
Spriggan.
Like it's exactly this, named for the same thing, the mech in the Warjack in Khador.
Warjack.
It's the same thing. Named the same thing.
I don't know it.
Okay. It came out in 1998, and the only reason why I mention it is it was like light years ahead of its time in terms of animation. Like, it was today, it would be expected that everybody animate as well as they were animating in this movie Spriggan, but it made a big splash in anime circles back in the late 90s.
Well, yeah, 98 was like Cowboy Bebop.
Right.
Like, it was just like all hand-drawn colored pencil shit.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And so this movie was known for having really ramped up, like on a single screen, how much shit was moving, right? Like, when there was a cloud of snow, at one point there's a snow fight, and when there's a cloud of snow, every fucking flake is moving on the screen at once.
It's not just a cloud of dots that's sliding sideways.
Right. It was extremely, extremely painstakingly done. And apparently they're remaking it. Like, they're using, of course, computer assisted anime now, but they're remaking it. And so it was originally just a movie with a pretty interesting premise, and now apparently part of the show is the movie, and then they're extending the story past it. But I'm really pumped because I watched Spriggan. Came out on VHS in my town. It was one of the very first like anime things I had ever seen that truly impressed me, that I was like, holy crap, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And I probably rented that movie from Blockbuster like 20 times.
Hell yeah. And you paid the late fees because you watched it like 4 times.
Yeah, it was something. I didn't know if you guys ever seen this movie, but
people today that could rent shit on Amazon, like, I'm gonna rent like No Way Home on Amazon for $4. I'm like, oh my god, you have no fucking idea.
Yeah,
Mr. Parker, please bring back No Way Home, Black Widow. You now have a late fee of $48.
Tape 1.
Yeah, I remember renting the series 24 in like 6 different video cassettes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was basically $900 to watch that.
It cost a bit.
You remember when they used to release shows on VHS, and like you could buy all of Friends on VHS? It was like $400. And it was like a 32 cassette kit. Like, it was like a suitcase of show. It was so stupid. Now you can buy the entire thing on like a little tiny micro USB drive. Oh my god.
Or just don't buy it. Just stream it. Like,
you could also stream
that's what's
it for,
crazy.
Like,
is now
the funny thing is it's actually cheaper to buy it than to stream it.
Yeah.
Because nobody buys anything anymore. Like, the demand is so down, they have to cut the rate so far to get people to actually purchase anything. So people talk about expensive hobbies in our industry all the time, right? Miniature gaming is expensive, card gaming is expensive. Role-playing games is about the only hobby game you can play that's not expensive, because all you need is a book and dice, right? You're in for $60, you're ready to go. So an expensive hobby that people don't realize, buying Dragon Ball Z on VHS, one of the most expensive hobbies all time. That fucking show, it was $20 a VHS, and there was only 4 episodes on each tape.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. It was thousands and thousands of dollars to own all of Dragon Ball Z. And that was only in the Frieza arc. There was like another 300 episodes that came out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ugh. Literally, I don't know that if you could have bought the entire show on VHS before the show on DVD came out.
That's why you had to go to a swap and shop and buy the ripped off versions.
Yeah. Dude, I remember how hard it was to watch TV shows back in the day. You're like,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
well, I'm literally... Like, before you could set timers on your VCR, you had to be fucking there when the show came out, or
Mhm.
you missed it.
Yep. I remember, so I was watching Lost back in the day,
Oh, yeah.
and Janet
Can't miss any of those.
Oh, Janet fucking deleted an episode before I had watched it.
And
I
you
quit
literally didn't
watching
know
it.
what the fuck was
Yeah,
happening.
I
Like,
quit
where are all the
watching that
alien
show.
creatures from?
I'm
I
like,
don't know.
okay, I'm done. Like, you win.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm not watching it anymore.
Don't get to watch Lost anymore.
Yep, that one's over. Only committed most of my life to this.
I remember I had a friend that was super into Lost, and he would like when the new episode came out, I was like, I can't leave the house.
Oh yeah, it's Tuesday,
Literally
bro.
bolted
I'm not...
to the
Yeah.
couch. Yeah, because like who knows when the next re-airing would be? You'd have to wait 3 months for the cycle to come back around to figure out what happened.
Oh yeah, and that's
or you
when
just have to wait till then to watch it.
or the tape would come out like 5 years after the show's done.
Yeah, you could. That's right. You could buy the VHS for $30 an episode. Like some shit.
Craziness.
Season 1 of Lost at Best Buy. You could also buy this washing machine for the same price.
You remember when on like PBS they were like, buy Mutual of Omaha, watch the foxes run. Like you could buy those tapes on like PBS back in the day, and you didn't have any other like buying VHS tapes wasn't even a thing.
Yeah.
Watch the graceful animals. Like what?
Now you can go to YouTube and watch Snoop Dogg animate nature.
I
Or
know
narrate nature.
the world. I like the world I live in. To be honest, That's
Have
a
you
better-
seen the Snoop Dogg narrates the nature?
Yeah,
I've
they're pretty
seen
It's
a couple.
actually fucking hilarious. He's like, what is that, fucking snake? Oh, shit! Like, like eats a squirrel. He's like, motherfucker, just ate that bitch. Like, he has no idea what's happening. He's just watching random nature videos.
Oh,
My
yeah.
favorite
And he does not know how to handle it.
My favorite one is when he's just super chill the entire time.
Mhm.
I really like that as well.
He's
But
like,
it's
yeah,
just-
man.
he's just like,
This
whoa,
badger's just chilling, man. He's
Whoa.
walking around. Like,
oh shit, do you see that? It just punched that shit. Whoa. like that kind of reaction. I love that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, Snoop makes the world a better place.
speaking
does.
of, something happened today that you guys are not going to believe. So I saw 2 blind guys fighting, like fist fighting.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
at your
Uh,
store.
No, it was just just out on the street. I was over in Shawnee, and because there's just 2 blind guys fighting, and you should have seen the look on their face when I said, "Man, I got $50 on the one with the knife."
What the fuck?
Can you imagine 2 blind guys fighting, and then you're like, one of them's got a knife, and neither of them knows which one has the knife. They're like, "Oh shit," because they have to assume the other guy has the knife.
Oh my god.
Your fighting style changes when you're blind and you think your opponent has a knife.
Yeah, it changes real quick.
All right, well, I'm going to use the bathroom real quick, but other than that, I'm kind of ready to go. Do you know what you guys want to talk about today?
Nope.
I know Jeremy and I talked about something, but it's a secret.
Um, I don't know. One thing we could do is they're adding in a brand new. Well, we kind of already talked about them though. I was gonna say, do we?
What, Shield?
Yeah, adding a new thing in the game and a new 2 new leaders out. I don't know if that's really a topic though, because we already talked about them individually when they were
No,
coming out.
I don't think that's a topic. If we want to talk topics that we have like on save, we have some stuff we can talk about. I think doing we know the factions well enough at this point to talk about like who's best as drop-ins in particular factions as like mercenary models. That's a topic we've been sitting on for a while.
We also have last Saturday's tourney. That'll obviously take us a little bit if we want to.
Yeah, we can recap that, but I don't think there's really anything particularly important that happened.
Well,
Other than
like the 3 of us were in the end of the game, end of the show, which was pretty cool. I thought that was appropriate.
oh, I mean I don't think it's news to say we do well in our local meta.
That's true.
I don't think that's a topic.
No, I wasn't going to.
Yeah.
Our topic today is bragging.
Yeah. No, exactly. Me and Jeremy talked about this for about 30 minutes before you got here. And it was, do you know that it used to be a thing when the Bane Riders came out? The Bane Knight Horsemen?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah. People used to base them on the first place coins because they were 50 millimeters.
Oh,
This was an internet fad. people would glue them to their first place coins, and they would have Bane Riders based on first place trophies.
Adorable.
And that was a thing that people did. It was just like, wow, bro. Like, seriously.
That's hard flex.
You need to get a life. I was also talking about one of our local My Hero players, or Universes players. One of our locals is actually a former like world champion. And so I saw him not using a playmat. And I was like, why aren't you using a playmat? Everybody else has a playmat. Like, don't you play this game? And he's like, I don't want to use my playmat for local game night stuff. And I was like, why not? He's like, well, it's a first place at Worlds playmat. And so it's like, it feels like bragging, and I don't want to brag. It's like, you can use your playmat. It's okay. Like, you earned it. It's okay. It's not like you're wearing it as a shirt, like walking around with it.
There you go.
I do think we could go around. I would like to at some point do tier lists of like, I don't know how we want to divvy it up, either as point cost, or we could do by role and point cost, which I think would be fun. You know, we were giving everyone a role back in the day, like controller, skirmisher, brute, stuff like that.
Yeah.
We could go around and rate them by point total, like the top 3 at each position. I think that would be really fun that we could get around to. We also need to get around to rating all of the models at some point. We're getting pretty close to done there. We actually, I think we got done with all the models, then we moved to tactics cards. I don't know that we ever finished.
I think there's a bunch of tactics cards still.
There's definitely way more now than there was then. But that's, I don't know that people actually care about that.
No, because there's only like 15 tactics cards that matter.
Yeah, I know that.
I mean,
that's
just
the
total.
frustrating bit. Yeah, it's like, hey guys, play the cards that get played by everybody.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Pro tip. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of the tactics card thing is kind of meh.
And that's a sad thing, because originally it wasn't like that.
I think there's about 20 cards outside of like character and affiliation specific. Actually, no, it's probably more like 10.
Like
There's
I said, I
10
think
cards
it's
worth
15.
putting in.
I think there's 15
Should we do
that are...
Should we just do that? Should we just talk about the cards that are worth playing?
The generic ones, not specific, right?
Right, the non-affiliation, non-character specific ones.
I would just break down to 10. I think there are 10. I don't. You could make a case for more than that, but I think there are really only 10. But
I think that's the topic. I think we should talk about each one that we're like, all right, this one you need to consider with every roster, and then we'll just see how many there are. What do you think? I think that's a decent topic for today. It's light, it's informative, it's opinionated, and the last one is definitely in our wheelhouse.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Also, I think. Do we want to make the list now, and then go through it, or do we actually want to say it?
I think we should go through it as the topic.
Okay.
I think that would be good.
I think there is a little bit of news. I don't know if you all know some of the things.
I know everything.
What's been hidden from me?
So they did decide if grunts can work with criminals. It was ruled they don't. They don't get the bonus.
They're not characters?
They just don't get the bonus. They don't count as 2.
They errated
it?
Well,
why would they?
Somewhere.
But they can't secure objectives. Why would they even care?
Oh.
Yes, they can. They can on
No, hold on. He's right actually. Shit. Where's the rules? They're on the spoilers page, right?
Yeah.
Because
it's somewhere.
They contest as if they're injured, and injured criminals don't count as 2. Right?
I don't know that's no. I don't.
Here, I'm reading it. Hold on.
Okay, because it just came out this week.
If not activated instead, do not. Grunt character would change controllers. Only grunt characters play at a time. Grunt characters do not have an injured side. When a grunt character would be dazed, at start of player's turn. Can't give power. If a grunt's parent character is dazed, add an activated token to the grunt. If all the grunt parent characters are KO'd, change controllers, or are removed from the game, remove the grunt from the character from the game. If grunt would change controllers, is removed from the game. If the player has only one grunt in play at a time, grunt characters do not have an injured side. When a grunt character would be dazed, it would flip its stat card. It is KO'd instead. Start of a player's turn. If all their parent characters that player controls have activated. All grunt characters the player controls have activated tokens. Character cannot gain power, cannot play team tactics cards, cannot be affected by allied team tactics cards. Grunt characters are not chosen to activate during its turn. Instead, if they do not have an activated token, one grunt character activates during a turn, which the parent character activates. Before the parent character's activation, the grunt character activates.
So just so you know, Brandon, nothing on the grunt fact sheet talks about contesting. It's on
That's what I noticed.
It's on the hand ninja and the shield agent cards. So on the hand ninja card,
so theoretically they could.
Yes, they could print if they printed a grunt that specifically did not say this, because this both. So the hand ninjas have a rule that says this character cannot contest secure objective tokens, and shield agent says this character cannot contest secure objective tokens.
Okay, so they can't contest them, which is why they don't count as 2. So that was a pretty dumb question. Did they clarify that grunts don't, or that these grunts don't? Do you remember?
I was just told that all grunts don't.
Okay.
That's what I heard. Also, something was brought up, the ruling, or maybe it wasn't a question, I don't know. But, like, if you have one model left and they have a model and their grunts left, you can pass. So they...
because they don't count as non-activated characters.
Yeah, so both of their models will go, and then you get to go last. So the whole idea of...
Gotcha. So it actually allows you to lose priority by passing.
Yes.
That would be the first, because you're exactly right. That's interesting. We should definitely bring that up.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
So those.
Say that again.
Happens.
Okay,
paint
so
a middle picture
Parker,
for me.
the interaction is you can pass if your opponent has more remaining activations than you. So if you have one character left to activate and they have Nick Fury and a shield operative, you can pass because they technically have 2 to activate, but they activate at the same time. That's not your fault. That's their fault. Does that make sense?
Who's they?
It's the exact same if they had Nebula if they had Proxima and Corvus left.
Okay.
And you passed and they double activated. It's exactly the same.
Because basically grunts have it printed sort of on their card that they have double activation.
But it's not a may, they must. Yes.
Yeah.
So the big deal with that is when it comes to herbs, you have a play against herbs because you get to go after they do.
You're saying you could go and contest it?
No, you can have a model wait that has bow, and then you bow them off.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can deal with them. They can't just simply walk on it. Like, it can't be the last thing that happens. You get a chance to deal with it if you pass.
Sure. Okay, we'll talk about that.
Anyway, yeah, it's just a thing. It came up.
News.
So that's in news then?
Grunt interactions. Clarified? ? Let's do that. All right, I'm going to go to the bathroom. We're going to main topic. Which? Hold on. Control which cards should you consider? All right, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'll be back in like 2 minutes. Go ahead and grab water or anything if you guys need.
All right.
God damn it, Jeremy, are you still watching wrestling?
No. Let me grab my cards. I like to have this physically.
My favorite kind of jokes are the jokes that nobody gets because they're so niche. All right, well, I guess I'm just here by myself. I'll come up with a topic. I like shuffling poker chips because I like fidgeting, not because I like poker. So I like to just sit here and shuffle poker chips when I'm like reading or watching TV. But because I don't play poker, I don't actually own a bunch of poker chips. The only poker chips I own are the ones I used to use for running War Machine tournaments because flags in War Machine were 40 millimeters. I don't know if you've ever checked, but a standard clay poker chip is 40 millimeters. So I own a bunch of poker chips that don't match because I use them as poker chips to shuffle. And I also use them for flags in War Machine. So now I bought a stack of Kansas City Chiefs brand poker chips that are completely worthless, except I have 12 of them so I can shuffle. It's the only reason I own these, is to sit on my desk so I can shuffle them. They should be back soon. There's no way they'd leave me alone unattended for that long. Normally this would get cut out, but it's not gonna. Because nobody's here to tell on me. Oh shit, Jeremy's back. I've just been sitting here shuffling poker chips, talking about how I like shuffling poker chips.
I can hear it. You are definitely...
Can you?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure it's silent.
I am 100% certain you cannot hear this.
Yeah. I'm certain that my movements are so slow that they're imperceptible to the human ear.
I have figured out how to be silent.
We'll have to ask Parker, because I told you I was shuffling poker chips, so I think it's just subconsciously you can hear it.
You're probably right.
I don't think you can actually hear it. Yeah, I think it's just you filling it in with your mind.
That's probably true.
Because your mind's so weak.
My mind is so weak.
So we'll just see if Parker can hear it. But you can't say it.
I won't say a word.
Say it. You'll spoil it. We'll just have to see. All right, here he comes. What's up, Parker?
I'm ready to go.
I am also ready to go.
You got your poker chips?
God damn
it! Son of a bitch.
I thought for sure nobody could hear it.
It's inconceivable.
Can you really hear it?
Extremely
so quiet
loud.
on my end.
Extremely loudly.
It's actually very quiet on my end.
It's like somebody.
I'm doing it on a playmat.
It's like I'm in between ceramic plates.
They're banging together at light speed.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's going to be an interesting segment. I was left alone for way too long while drinking. You guys should probably listen to this episode.
Oh, boy.
This is going to be 30 minutes past the end of the episode.
Oh, God.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. All right. All right. Are you guys ready to go? I'm ready to go.
Yeah, let's do it.
Dude, I was
You guys
born
got water?
ready.
Mm-hmm.
I got all the liquids that I need.
Mm-hmm.
I have 3 drinks that I'm currently nursing. Nursing's
Is
probably
that how you do it now? You just get 3 in a row? Just shotgunning?
I can't even hold them because when I hold them, I get all wobbly, so I just put them all down. But I look at them and I pick one individually to drink.
Okay. They're just ready. Okay.
Yeah. So I actually never got to say what I was doing for the last 3 hours. We got off track because Parker brought up Moon Knight immediately and we got off topic.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
So I inventoried all of my old War Machine terrain and gaming mats and chess clocks and objective tokens and flags, all that stuff. I inventoried it because I met a guy at Adepticon that wanted to buy it.
Oh my!
And so I gave him an amount I would sell it for, and he said yes. And so now we're just scheduling pickup.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I'm getting that shit out of my life. I don't need that kind of negativity in my life. And by negativity, I mean War Machine.
Is it all your models and stuff too, like unpainted? And all
Oh
that?
God, no! God, if I could sell that for more than $1 a model, I would be in so deep.
You're like, well, I'm good.
Yeah. It's like, I'm set for life now. I can retire. Do you know how many War Machine models I own?
It was.
I have like
yeah.
I have like 3 affiliations at field allowance, and then I have 4 other affiliations I don't play.
So you got all your train? Is that what you sold? All your trains and train and mats and stuff?
Yeah, I've agreed to sell at least. Yeah, I
Gotcha.
had. I can read you the list. It's a pretty good list. I sold some of it apparently and forgot. All right, I own 16 grassland mats, 3 desert mats, 1 city mat, 25 scenario zones of each type, 22 large hills, 2 small hills, 4 large waters, 7 small waters, 6 round waters, 10 buildings, 43 large forests, 36 small forests, 10 trenches, and 17 random area effects, and 16 physical 3-dimensional walls, 14 chess clocks, and and then a ton of like 40 millimeter objective bases and 50 millimeter objective bases.
Mm-hmm.
Like probably 100 if you add them all together, probably more honestly. Yeah, so he's gonna buy all that stuff from me. I'm just gonna get rid of it.
Just a tournament kit, basically.
Basically, yeah, it's everything you need to run a small convention. Honestly, I mean, we could have easily ran all of the War Machine Adepticon stuff with just what I own. Easily. Like, I would have had way more than they needed. But yeah.
So who wanted it?
His name is Matthew?
I mean,
I met him at Adepticon. He runs, his name's Matthew. He runs a convention called Indie Storm, I believe. That's in, obviously, Indianapolis. So if you're in the Illinois, Indiana area, you should probably look into Indie Storm. It's coming up fairly soon, I believe. And they're going to have a lot of stuff supplied by me.
So you probably got at least $35 for that, I'm guessing.
Slightly more than $35.
Oh.
The mats were $50 each.
I would give you, listen,
Retail.
whatever he offered, I will give you, I'm just going to throw a number out here. I'll give you $80 right now cash.
Pass.
Damn. That guy overpaid. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. I'll throw it into the car fund, buying a new car.
No, that's supposed to be the bus fund.
Yeah, I know. I actually was... You don't know how long I sat there and said, I could buy a new car and a bus or a nice new car. I've been saving for a car for a while now. And so this is going to be the most expensive car I've purchased by almost a factor of 5. And so I'm hoping, hopefully we'll close on this deal on Friday. But I'm hoping to have a car that does not look like shit anymore.
Well, I know the cars that you buy, so I'm guessing that puts it right about what? $700-800?
$600-700. I am $2,500 dick towel flush with money.
Yeah.
I don't think you understand how flush I am right now.
$2,500 flush. So you're looking for a P. Diddy style shrimping vessel.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't
There's
think you were
an
paying
entirely new digit I have previously not flirted with in car purchases that I am currently looking at doing.
Nice. Well done.
Yeah, I've now unlocked the 4th digit in car price.
Wow.
Oh my God.
You graduated.
Did I graduate yet?
Yeah.
A car that you're actually going to go, shit, I need to get this fixed instead of throwing it away.
I'm not going to drive people to a location and have them joke about how my car's not going to start on the way back and have them be right 100% of the time.
Not even like the slightest bit
In
surprised.
my defense, that Chiefs game was not my fault.
Not even the slightest bit surprised either.
Not even the slightest bit my fault.
Like, yep,
Still
that was our
literally
fault.
100% correct.
That was 100%.
I've never had someone joke
fault.
about my car not starting, and then it started.
News we could have known before we joked about it.
Well, the funny part was we all knew it was going to happen. And the fact that we drove over it like an hour away and knew the car wasn't going to start on the way back. And we all still went. And with the complete confidence, I would get the car to start.
Wait, it's fine.
Everyone knew what was going to happen. Yeah, Brandon will do some shit with a hammer and a screwdriver, and then the car will start.
This is how we fix spaceship in Russia.
Have you seen that video of like the random like roaming like pillager people that start a car in a junkyard?
No.
That was a really like viral vid for a while. There's like a camera crew following these bush people around, and they wander into an old junkyard, and they're like, man, this car's still good. And they like slap the side of a Civic with no tires from like 1985. And it's like clearly been sitting here the whole time. And it's like complete wreck. It has no seats inside the cab, no tires, no windows. Like, yeah, this car's still good. Got plenty of life left. And he's like slaps the trunk like, let's get it running. They like wander around and like scavenge car parts in the junkyard, and in about 10 minutes they have the car running and driving. And it's like, what the fuck? They're like, they literally use a hatchet to cut a hole in another vehicle's gas tank to get gas.
Perfect.
They use like random shit to plug all the holes in the engine so it can maintain compression.
There's sticks and shit sticking in hoses.
It's like they use a doll's head to cover up the oil cap. Like, it's insane. They just use hand tight lug nuts to put car tires on it. Like, oh my god, it's so funny. But yeah, they drive the car out in 10 minutes. I'm like, holy shit.
That's good.
Parker, are you recording a backup?
Yep.
Nice.
It's backing up so hard right now.
I'm so backed up.
So backed up.
Isn't it funny how slightly changing the way you say something dramatically changes what it means?
I'm very, very backed up right now.
Yeah, I'm so backed up. Dude, you don't believe how backed up I am. I don't do anything unless I'm backed up.
Oh my god. Oops.
All right, are you guys ready?
We're waiting on you, bro.
Wait on me?
So ready.
What are you waiting on me for?
You're the one that has all these drinks pre-made.
Water. One of my drinks is water. You gotta stay level, bro.
Good. Good for you. Good for you.
All right, you guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready now?
What about now?
Been ready.
How about now?
What about...
How about right meow?
Hold on. Right
Born
meow?
ready, died and had...
Right meow?
relapse.
I feel a belch coming. I'm trying to delay until it comes, but there it is. Okay, we can start.
Oh my. Class.
Always. We did it, guys. We did it.
Yay.
Oh boy, this was a long episode. I mean, if you add on the 45 minutes we were waiting for Parker to show up, it was almost 4.5 hours.
It was real long. All right, let's wrap it
All
up.
right.
Gotta go to bed.
You guys ready to wrap it
Yeah,
up?
we
I
gotta
do.
go.
There is something I wasn't able to talk about like during the actual cast. I didn't want to really bring this up as like an official thing, but yesterday I caught my son chewing on electrical wires, so I had to ground him. But hopefully, currently, he's conducting himself properly.
It started off...
That's the double joke.
It started
It's
off
a double
cringy,
joke.
but it got better.
It got better. Yeah, right. Because you're like, there's no way that's the whole joke. Okay, at least it wasn't the whole joke.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
Is it the worst, Jeremy?
For right this moment, yes.
Right this moment. The response to this one was, "This is shocking." That's my favorite response.
Damn it. Why didn't I get there?
It kept going. All right. Well, I guess we're done because we are super over on time. All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up. Are you guys ready?